You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this hump day where no one won the Mega Millions? So now it's Mega Billions.
Arizona Coyotes, baby. Now we're talking.
You're leaping right from the MLS to the bottom rung of the Big Four, huh?
Yep, the soon-to-be Quebec Nordiques.
You're going to take them back, huh?
Yep.
Bettman's going to fight you every step of the way.
Yeah, but the folks in Quebec City are going to love me.
You'd be a legend. That is for sure. You'd be a legend. The funny thing is you'd have to keep doing this show because I don't know how much money you'd have left over.
Nothing left over. I'd have to change the spelling of the first name to a C, take my mother's maiden name of Bordeaux.
That's true.
Get very French all of a sudden.
Yep. You'd need some tutoring and
a
the whole
lot
deal.
of tutoring.
Right. Yep.
I need Rosetta and the Stone, if you know what I mean.
We'd have to start talking even more pucks than we already do. That is for sure. Miller and Moulton on this hump day. So Felipe, it was right before you got here in the morning. Felipe just kind of stumbled in, and you know I keep this room dark.
Right.
As long as possible. There's very little lighting. I like to sit in the dark until 5:58.
If you could. The fact that I've started turning the lights on and setting Twitch up at 5 minutes to the hour has you very perplexed. I move it up by a minute or two every day. Just to kind of.
I know. I'm not happy about it, but hey, what can I do? Got my fat butt in the chair already. I ain't moving. Okay, so you got me. You do. So Felipe just kind of saunters over and he says, because at the end of the show, and for those that don't listen to our final hour, we do, a good, bad, and ugly, today was the day when type stuff, which is really like this day in history. It could be sports, music, or history. And so yesterday, one of the items was The Hustle went number 1 on July 26th in 1975. And you and I sang
in unison without any prompt. Right. I actually thought it was pretty brilliant radio. I laughed pretty hard leaving yesterday. Going, we just did that. Didn't look at one another.
We didn't.
And didn't react to it and just kept right on going. I actually enjoyed that.
That was our Pips moment. Okay. Gladys Knight and the Pips. Yep. You and I were the Pips.
Always wanted to be a Pip.
I did too.
Blue tuxedo. Good dance moves.
Absolutely. Let the hair grow out.
Yep.
Fantastic. So it was about 8 seconds where we did our Pips act. We even did a little chair dancing and everything. Felipe comes in and says, I don't know whether to thank you to or punch you guys, but I had The Hustle in my head all day yesterday.
Did you do the dance moves with it?
Oh, my gosh. How could you not?
He called home. He called the home and he goes, you guys know anything about The Hustle? And apparently mom's like, The Hustle?
Of course. That's in her wheelhouse. What are you talking about?
I called my mom. I said, what do you know about The Hustle? She said, listen, if you play that in front of your grandmother, she's going to start boogieing. She's going to break it down.
Break it down. So, sometimes a song or something is in your head all day and it's a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad. So I don't know if we made his day yesterday or we ruined it. But I just thought I'd let you know our 8 seconds of being the Pips, made an impact on a family on both coasts of Florida. So there.
At least it's better than that Kate Moss running up that hill song.
Yeah, that song. Please no more.
Miller and Moulton on this hump day, and we have a really good show on this hump day. We'll talk a little college football with Bill Bender. Seth will join us as he normally does. The Tampa Bay Bucks continue to load up. Roy Cummings will join us in our 8 o'clock hour about that.
I'm telling you, on the Champions Tour, the Bucks are going to be damn near unstoppable.
So So you're not exactly buying the Kyle Rudolph, Julio Jones signings in the last week.
Wow.
I mean, they're older guys.
Tampa, brought to you by AARP.
Well, I mean, they're in the right
We'll win a
state.
Super Bowl with you.
Come on now.
It's perfect.
It's just 1-year deals. I mean, you don't know whether or not you're getting their last good year or whether or not you signed them and it's too late. It's kind of like the Lakers team that won it in the bubble, and then they tried to put them together and add a couple more old guys to it. They failed miserably. You don't quite know what you're getting.
Well, I thought we were getting out of Julio last year, and that wasn't a whole hell of a lot.
No, it wasn't. Tennessee couldn't get rid of him fast enough. Now, money played a role in that decision, but they could not get rid of him fast enough.
Understood. But he looked as if he couldn't play last year.
I agree. He looked stiff.
Rudolph did as well. He was injured.
Still recovering from an injury and clearly was not 100%. So, how much is left in the tank? Don't know if either one will be a starter. Rudolph's probably number 2 tight end. Julio at best is number 3 wide receiver. Godwin got cleared for camp yesterday. Not even 7 full months from having ACL surgery. Not even 7 full months. And Chris Godwin passed his physical, is not on the PUP list, and will be practicing today. That's remarkable.
It is absolutely remarkable. It's great news for Tampa.
Yes,
because
it is.
I think when a lot of people saw the Julio signing, they went, oh, he's the number 2.
Right.
I just think instinctively you went, oh, okay, Julio's going to be number 2 until Godwin comes back. Well,
no. And remember, they went out and got the Falcons receiver to be their number 3. So is Julio Jones going to be their number 4?
Well,
their number 4? I will say this. Mike Evans, Kyle Rudolph, Julio Jones.
Red zone.
Those are 3 big men. I mean, you want to talk about one-on-one, just doesn't matter if they're covered, throw it up. Huge targets in the red zone. Wow. Tampa should be really good when they get in the red zone offensively.
Well, they should be really good everywhere offensively.
Well, that's true. That's true. If the line holds up, Brady might be the fantasy quarterback to have, to be honest with you.
He's going to throw for a bunch of yards again. There's just no 2 ways about it.
Well, they have less running backs now than they did last year, so might as well keep chucking it. But Miller and Moulton on this hump day, thanks so much for being with us. Sometimes we joke about these college conferences getting together, having a meeting.
College people love meetings.
They do. And you know what? The media loves going to them too. They'll travel, pay for hotels, all right, in big cities. It ain't cheap.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm really hopeful next year we can make a media day. I don't know what I'd prefer.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You want to go to these?
David.
You don't think they've jumped the shark?
I don't care. If I have the opportunity to get a couple of coaches on in July to talk college football, you book the show.
Right.
Think it would be easier doing a week of shows from Atlanta?
I understand. You do know we're on like really early. I don't even know if they'd let us in the building in time to do the show. We show up at about 5 something and they go, what the hell do you want? We're doing a radio show. Not at this hour, you're not. That's the problem.
I know.
Tell you what, how about we send you? Okay? How about we send you?
That's fine by me.
Because think about it, you only have to do about half a show. They won't let you in much before 8 by the time you get set up.
They'll let us in.
You think?
I think they'll let us in. I think it would be very much like the Super Bowl, that it would be long days, because in order to get the interviews, we'd have to sit around all day and wait for slots to get whomever and run them the next day.
It is the one good thing about the Super Bowl, especially another West Coast Super Bowl. I mean, they actually have the thing staffed 24/7 because they got East Coast stations showing up at about 2 a.m. to walk in the building. So, hey, we got to do a show.
A West Coast Super Bowl is my dream behind the curtain, because I would like to figure out if we could do one whole show without being there.
Just tape a bunch of
Tape
stuff.
the entire show the day before.
I think we could. I definitely think we could.
In fact, since we usually don't stay for the game because we're usually not credentialed,
right?
What would be perfect for us? Do all the taping Thursday, have the entire Friday show on tape,
right?
Be back,
right,
in the town we're in before the show airs.
Send it to Felipe. Felipe's running the show,
right,
via computer. All right. We've taken a red eye home. And as we're driving home from the airport, we're listening to our show.
That would be a dream.
So you're saying I can't go to the Super Bowl? Oh,
Let me tell you something. You're not ready to go to a Super Bowl. And I mean this. You will never work harder than if you're a producer on Radio Row at the Super Bowl. You would, let me tell you, you would not like it. You're not ready to work that hard. You are the hardest working person amongst our crew.
And you'd be starstruck.
Yeah.
You'd have trouble.
I know.
You'd
We'd
have
lose
trouble
you.
not being a fanboy.
Yeah.
that's why
We'd lose you. Oh, no. We lost Felipe. I mean, literally one of us would have to get up. The other would have to keep doing the show. We'd have to find you, grab you, by your shirt collar. Come back.
Because as we've told the story, I mean, that's the coolest interview I've ever done in the history of my career is we had David Spade and Chris Rock sitting
in front of us
right here. I mean, there was the four of us. And to not be a little starstruck there was hard. So I can't imagine you with your love of everything being able to get through that room at your age. I don't think you could do it yet.
Plus, the other thing is you'd have to show restraint.
You got to sit there and talk to these guys and act like you belong there.
Right. You got to be cool. But then when we're on live, you can't talk. It would kill you. You're not ready for it.
all right.
Maybe by January you will be. February. But I'm telling you right now, we'd lose you. You'd get fired. Midway through. And it'd be embarrassing, once we fire you, do we have to pay to send you home? I mean, it could get ugly. Okay. You would lose track of time. You would go wandering off with somebody. You'd come back. We'd be staring at you going, you need to be back like 40 minutes ago.
You're not way off. But you're maybe a little off.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
We've done like 4 of them. All right.
Well, now that you're saying it, I gotta prove you wrong.
Well, okay. We could lay down that gauntlet. All right. Put it this way. We would insert a Kyler Murray addendum to your agreement with us. It would be the Super Bowl Radio Row addendum.
Okay. I see what you did there.
I think we should be able to do that everybody should be able to do that with one person in their lives right now. And even if it's your wife coming to you going, I need 4 more hours of this a week out of you.
What?
It's the Kyler Murray addendum, honey. And the husband just has to look at it and go, damn it, you're right. I've got to take it.
I already have a honey-do list. Now I got a Kyler Murray addendum?
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Adam, I think you won $10. Thought you had more than that, but it looks like it's $10. I had one number out of 5 tickets.
I know of our set numbers that my wife plays, her dad's numbers. Yeah, Bubkus.
Yeah, there's 3 in the 60s.
Right.
It's like 60,
Right.
66 and 69 or something like that. 63 and 69, something stupid.
Well, my wife's numbers are all jammed close together too. I look at her, I go, there's no way this is.
Oh, that's the one you win it all yourself when they're jammed close together.
Oh.
I think just the mega number. I don't know if that gets you anything. I think one in the mega number gets you something. 15. See the seats right behind home there? Oh,
Yeah.
All series, they've been empty. Other ones have been empty, and they've been filling in.
Yep. As soon as they take McClanahan out, say hello to my little fry. Got a home run chain.
There it is. Another win for the O's.
They're over 500,
Damn
baby.
right, they're ahead of the Boston Red Sox.
Yes, they are. Yeah, the big thing, because Ortiz, Hall of Famer, and the whole deal, and they lose. Look at that uniform. It's just
Because those uniforms are gross. That's deep.
That dog will hunt. Wear those uniforms, you should lose.
Every time they play. Well, it's supposed to look like the T, right? Is that?
I have no idea why. Is that what that is? Did he get his hand in? Yeah, he's safe. Oh! I thought he was safe.
I did too.
I was about to say the replay is the best thing that happened in baseball, but
Save $60 on my cell phone a month this week. Save $70 on my cable. It's been a good week for me.
Wow. Look at you.
The cable bill's perfect too, because it's about to go up by $65 a month because of Sunday Ticket. So it actually seems like it'll be free.
How could nobody stop that? Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
oh,
No, she should have stopped it.
that's
wow.
that's embarrassing.
Everything's up and running for the Fantasy Summit. If one of you was trying to sign up yesterday, I know I tweeted it out yesterday.
Come back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We got a bunch of magic numbers, Mark. A bunch of them.
Give them to me.
We got 8 until the Hall of Fame game. 8 days away from Raiders and Jags. For those of you who just need to see helmet and shoulder pads. We're 15 days away from the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit. 15 days away. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up. Dinner, drinks, and Dr. Roto. And you walk away with a cheat sheet. It'll be right there in front of you. Something that you could take in the ensuing days for all your fantasy drafts. You'll have it right there. And when your friends are sitting around going, "Hey, what do you got there?" You go, "Oh, no. Oh, no. You don't get to look at this."
Should be enough to get you to join a league all on its own, David.
Yeah. And then, of course, 31 days away from week 0, 36 away from week 1, 43 days away, 6 weeks tomorrow, Bills and Rams. And we get this whole NFL soiree going. So those are the magic numbers. Tell you what do you say? You want to play these for Mega Millions? 8, 15, 31, 36, 43? I mean, tomorrow we get, you change them by a day. I mean, whatever day you want to play, you could just use our magic numbers and play them. I mean, whatever we're all doing, it ain't working. So,
exactly.
Might as well try something new. It's Mega Billions, ladies and gentlemen. It's
mega billions.
Billions.
Sounds like a Big Ten TV contract.
Well played. Well played. Let me tell you, Kevin Warren, he's feeling good about himself, isn't he?
He should.
He's a very different commissioner than he was 2 years ago when they wanted him gone. Find Jim Delaney wherever he is. Bring him back.
And in the meantime, he got through the pandemic, and now they add USC, UCLA. They're going to sign the biggest TV contract in the history of college football. Yeah, he looks pretty good right now.
He does. A lot of talking yesterday, Big Ten Media Days. I mean, coaches, they were very quotable yesterday. Kevin Warren was very quotable. Sankey did his thing last week. He's like, I think 16. We're good at 16. Kevin Warren made it sound like we may go to 48.
Or we may stay at 16. But whatever we do, we're going to do it loudly.
Right. We're aggressive. Remember that cheer? Okay. Be aggressive.
Yeah, don't start doing it. What's scary is I could do it with you if you want to. That's why I don't want you to.
We could all do it. We've all been at high school and college sporting events when the cheerleaders do the be aggressive cheer.
It's going to take over from the hustle, Philly.
That's what I thought needed to be going on during Kevin Warren's speech yesterday. They just stop and turn, and one of the Big Ten groups could just start going, be aggressive, be aggressive. And Kevin would go, okay, I'll take it from here. All right. And then he would say a few more minutes and he'd turn and look. And then, it'd be time for the Minnesota cheerleaders to go, be aggressive, be aggressive. And then the coaches would come out also, and they just keep it going. I mean, man, they're feeling good about life and the pursuit of happiness in the Big Ten.
They are.
I mean, they're overlooking the whole they've won one national title in the last 20 years in football. They're just zooming right past that.
It doesn't matter. It's all about the money.
Damn right. They figured it out. They have figured it out. All these years, Mark, they were emphasizing academics, well-rounded communities, student athletes. What's it about, Mark?
It's about the money.
Thank you.
How much do you have? How much do you have for NIL?
Right. Even if you, like Kirk Ferentz, he's like, I don't even really fully understand NIL. I know we're not supposed to use it in recruiting, but it's all the kids are asking about. I don't know. He goes, we need leadership. This sport's run amok right now, but no, everything's fine. I just signed an extension for $7 million a year. So, whatever.
And the Big Ten talking playoff, and a big one at that. All of a sudden, 16 teams was being bantered around all day yesterday.
Right. I mean, I think they want their whole conference in.
Well, they figure it's the best chance to win a natty.
Is it? I would think letting in as few SEC teams as possible is your best chance of winning a natty, honestly. Honestly. That, to me, would be your best chance.
Hey, look, as long as the SEC's got it going on the way they've got it going on, the Big Ten's got one team that can play for national championships right now. They have one team that does it at the level that 5 or 6 are doing it at the SEC.
And that, I think, will be interesting to see in the next 10 years, Mark. Can Michigan? Can Penn State? Is there someone else? If USC truly gets it together under Lincoln Riley, can all of a sudden Michigan, if they can build on what they did last year, if Penn State could just take it one more step, if USC can get back to being USC, now all of a sudden the Big Ten can stand there with their hands on their hips and go, huh? You want to do an 8-teamer, just you and us? Huh? You pick your 4, we'll pick our 4? What do you say? They're not there yet.
You're asking a lot.
Yeah, I am.
You're asking 3 schools to do things that they haven't done in a long, long time.
But they're all capable of it.
Absolutely.
I really believe they're all capable of it.
They have the money.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just a matter of whether or not they know how to do the right things with it.
They have the money. They have the tradition. 2 of the 3 have players all around them in USC and Penn State. It is fascinating to me how Harbaugh can't get a quarterback. It is fascinating. First off, Michigan forever used to just produce NFL quarterbacks, but that's seemingly a generation ago. But you would think Jim Harbaugh would. I mean, there are schools now that are lining up quarterbacks. We'll have this guy for 2 years. We move on to this guy. We move on to this guy. Move on to this guy. And Harbaugh keeps finishing 2nd and 3rd for a lot of these 5-star quarterbacks. I find that interesting.
I don't know if they pay as well, David. And I'm not joking when I say that. I don't know if they pay as well.
Right.
And at the end of the day, with the NIL, these 5-star quarterbacks are getting big money. And if Michigan's not yet ready to jump into that pool completely, then they're going to miss out on those guys.
Come on. Do we really think they're not yet ready to jump into that pool? I mean, they play in the big house. I mean, come on. It's not like Michigan can't raise the money.
Oh, no. They can raise the money.
Right.
And I think they're close, but I think they were a little behind on NIL. And they were set in a certain way of doing things. They're no longer set in that. I think that's all changed in the last year.
Because, Mark, what's it all about again?
It's about the money.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it was about to crumble because Harbaugh thought he was going to the Vikings. He didn't think he was showing up for an interview. That's why he let both coordinators go.
The players were like, we knew he wasn't leaving.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, he had to let the one coordinator go. He was going to be defensive coordinator with his brother with the Ravens. I mean, he couldn't stop that one. The other one we could talk about, but come on. Brother says, listen, I'm firing my defensive coordinator. I need your guy. Really? He's like, hey, I waited till after you got in the playoff. Oh, all right. But you owe me. All right. I get the bigger piece at the holiday dinner this year, okay?
Turducken for you.
Right.
Just plain old turkey for me. But that will be interesting for Michigan, replacing 2 coordinators. I think it's one of the things that's not being talked about with the Wolverines.
Miller and Moulton. The starting 5 is coming up next. And once again, for late July, There's a lot of meat on the bone. We'll start to dig into it next here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. How many teams would you like to see in the college football playoff? 12 or 16? Those are your only choices.
Huh. Wow. Won't even do 8.
Because it's not out there. Who's I mean, where is there any support for 8?
Yeah. Well.
I'll put 8 if you actually think that there's a possibility of 8 happening.
Do you want to put it in the question? There's only 2 size playoffs being talked about, or no?
No.
Okay. You see, remember, Ortiz was released by the Twins, so. But no. I don't think they snapped the curse without Big Pape.
Wow. Yeah, I could never grow that hair. That's the problem, Adam. I'm jealous of Aaron Rodgers' hair.
Boy, what a dead ringer for Nicolas Cage.
How many people do you think watched Con Air last night?
In Wisconsin, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, DC. Terry Ryan always talks about it. I never understood it when they did it. I know they were in love with Minkiewicz and all that, but don't know why they couldn't keep him as a DH. He had just started. He'd hit like 20-something home runs his last year with the Twins, and they still got rid of him. Mets did the same thing with Justin Turner and just DFA'd him. It was like, what the hell are you doing? Now, TK was so into his defense. He would always play the good defense guy over the good hit guy.
Well, that's back when people hit singles.
Right.
Doubles and moved runners over and
Right.
defense mattered.
Yep. Well, we were going to do Glendale until Troy went to Monday Night Football because we were going to have a lot of connections at Fox.
Still have some.
We do. But also it takes sponsorship. It takes money. But the good thing about Fox is they would have paid for the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with featured guest Dr. Roto, who's one of the best in the country at fantasy sports. He's got his own great website. He does national radio about fantasy sports, and he will answer all of your questions and then hand you a cheat sheet for you to take with you when you conduct your fantasy football drafts. It's 2 weeks from tomorrow, Thursday, August 11th. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up for it.
There you have it. Want to text the show? The number is 21,000. If you never text the show before, you need to type in the keyword FSN Radio. All one word, FSN Radio, to 21,000 to text the show with whatever it is that's on your mind.
You know what's on our mind right now?
Let me see.
The starting five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
All right. All training camps are underway. Doesn't mean everybody practiced yesterday. Some just kind of took attendance. Hey, we need you to show up, a couple physicals. And, hey, how you doing? How was your summer?
Much bigger fan of that first day than the guy that hands out the syllabus and says, all right, let's turn to chapter 2.
Right. You're 12 minutes into class.
What?
Wait, what?
Trying to figure out what row I want to sit in.
Right.
Chapter 2.
I don't know if I like sitting here. What's your name again? So all training camps are underway. A lot of news yesterday. Some guys were put on the PUP list because, you can't have them getting hurt.
And you can't start them on the active list and then put them on the PUP list, as we talked about yesterday.
Right. Got to have them on the PUP list before camp gets underway. Bucs signed 33-year-old wide receiver Julio Jones to a 1-year deal. He's played 11 years in the NFL. Was not that good with Tennessee last year. We'll see how much. You think he's a Hall of Famer?
Really close.
Has a chance to get a ring. Came so close against Brady and the Patriots.
Speaking of which, when the Red Sox were down 25-3 in that game,
Right.
see Brady tweeted at Edelman, ready for a comeback, something like that.
Didn't quite get the 28-3, but they were close. They were close. Dolphins also signed a soon-to-be 33-year-old wide receiver yesterday. Mohamed Sanu, who played last year with the Niners. He played the first 8 games of the season, got hurt, was placed on the injured list, was actually activated a few days before the NFC Championship game, but did not play in the game. Sanu had 15 catches last year in those 8 games, averaged a little under 12 yards a catch. I mean, the Dolphins' first 3 receivers, they're set. You start to look at their depth chart, there might be, I mean, I think Preston Williams is going to be their 4th receiver, but they've got room for a 5th receiver. Don't be surprised if it's Sanu. Also, don't be surprised if it's one of those, they cut him for week 1 and then sign him after week 1 because then the contract's not guaranteed. It's done with a lot of veterans. So interesting signing yesterday by the Dolphins. Mohamed Sanu, who played last year with the Niners. Their new head coach was with the Niners last year. Speaking of the Niners, the divorce was all but made official yesterday in San Francisco. Shanahan, Lynch, Jimmy G, they sat down, broke bread. They said, Jimmy, don't know how to tell you. It's done. It's over.
You're dead to us.
Yep, we've moved on. And we're not going to kill you just yet. But it's a procedural thing. You've played your last game as a Niner. Don't call us, we'll call you. So I guess they're waiting for him to pass a physical. And then do you just cut him? Because if he passes a physical and then he gets hurt working out, you are stuck. You got to pay him for the year. So there's a chance Jimmy G here, when he passes a physical, just gets cut. Niners get all that cap room.
Can't get anything for him.
Well, don't you think their best shot is the Deshaun Watson suspension, right?
Yes.
So that's probably, they're crossing their fingers and playing the game here. But it's official. The Niners said they are moving on with Trey. Joe Burrow is going to have his appendix removed. He's going to miss some camp, but they say he'll be fine. Don't know how
With
much.
or without an appendix, everybody still needs a Joe Burrow.
Everybody definitely needs a Joe Burrow. Chris Carson, the running back for the Seahawks, is going to retire because of that neck injury that stopped his season last year after 4 games. He had a nice career, 5 years, 3,500 yards, 4.6 yards a carry, but neck injury ended his career. And did you hear the Darius Leonard story?
I did not.
Linebacker, Colts, good player. He doesn't want to be called Darius anymore. It is his first name.
Okay.
His middle name is Shaquille. And he says everybody calls him Shaquille.
Okay.
So he doesn't want to go by Darius anymore. He said, would you please call me Shaquille? And,
Okay, Darius.
well, and then he said, if you don't call me Shaquille, you can call me D, or you could call me Maniac. Maniac. Which, of course, got me thinking about Flashdance. And I mean,
I'm doing stripes the whole time. My name's Psycho. And you call me Francis, and I'll kill you.
Lighten up, Francis. So I'm thinking that when he runs out onto the field, you're playing the song from Flashdance there. He's a maniac, maniac. No? Oh, well.
You definitely dated yourself with that one.
No doubt that was my senior year of high school, Mark.
Oh.
That was, come on now. That was big.
And for those of you that don't know it from that, that's Tommy Boy getting hosed down after knocking the cows down there.
You got that too. So Shaquille, D, or Maniac. Those are your options now for the former Darius Leonard.
Looking forward to listening to Colts games now.
All right, Major League Baseball. Shane McClanahan, when he was pitching, the Rays were winning.
They were.
They were winning 3-2 going to the 8th.
And he hadn't thrown a lot of pitches.
No, I thought he had at least another inning in him. But, of course, it's 2022, and is he approaching 100 pitches? So they took him out, and they lost. Orioles scored 3 in the 8th to win it 5-3. The Baltimore Orioles are above 500, ladies and gentlemen, and they are not in last place.
There you go.
You know who's in last place, Mark?
The Boston Red Sox.
Yes, they are. They lost to Cleveland 8-3. A big game, too. They were honoring David Ortiz. They had a bunch of his former teammates there. They, laid out the 4 banners that he was instrumental in winning out on the outfield. Of course, they wore those damn yellow uniforms again. What are they, Oregon football?
I hate those.
Oh, my goodness. Guardians beat them 8-3. They're in last place.
That's like walking into a game, and if someone had one of those on. I've been to a few Steeler games when we take the train from my mother-in-law's house
right
to the stadium.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden you'll stop one of the stops and 2 people will walk on with those Bumblebee jerseys.
Oh,
it's like, why?
I know.
Why?
Right. All the choices. And trust me, if you have those Bumblebee jerseys, that means you've got 7 others that are non-Bumblebees, and you decided to wear those in public. Right. The Jays beat the Cardinals 10-3. They've won 7 in a row. Nice moment in Toronto. Albert Pujols, he has to play since their 2 best players didn't get vaccinated and they can't cross the border. So Arenado and Goldschmidt. So Pujols is in the lineup, and he got a standing ovation in his first at-bat in Toronto. Classy move by the Jays fans, because this will obviously be, barring the unforeseen that these 2 teams meet in the World Series, this will be his last appearance in Toronto.
Jays fans are great baseball fans. I don't think people realize it's now generations of Jays fans, and they have a great fan base. They just stunk for a while. It's great to see that they're back.
And Buck Martinez, who had missed most of the season because of cancer, was back in the booth last night, also in Toronto. Mets doubled up the Yankees 6-3. They scored 4 in the first. That helps. Aaron Judge homered 5 games in a row. He's got 38. If it wasn't for the whole steroid era, this would be a big story.
It really would, because he's an absolute monster. It is fun watching him come to the plate.
Remember, he turned down $30.5 million a year and is now producing the season he's producing, and he's a free agent at the end of the year. Bad news for the Yankees, however. They had to put Stanton on the IL for the second time this year. He's got a sore Achilles. That bears watching, and you wonder if he'll be strictly a DH when he comes back off the IL. Braves doubled up the Phillies 6-3. They're 2 back of the Mets. The Phillies are a half a game behind the Cardinals for the final playoff spot in the National League. Marlins got a great outing from Pablo Lopez. Gave up just 2 hits in 7 innings, struck out 11. Miami beat Cincinnati 2-1. Milwaukee edged the Twins 7-6. Brewers lead in the Central is 3. Twins lead is cut to 2.5 because not only did Cleveland win, the White Sox beat Colorado 2-1. They're above 500 for the first time in a long time, and they're just 3 back. I'm telling you, Twins are going to regret not putting the White Sox away. Nats beat the Dodgers again 8-3. They scored 2 in the 8th, 4 in the 9th to win. Padres, after blowing a 9th inning lead to the Tigers, 1-10, 6-4. 5,130 in Oakland for the A's to beat the Astros
for another
again.
win.
Yes. Chad Binder with a
Get
slam.
the brooms out.
5-3 over the Astros. Seattle edged Texas 5-4. Cubs won their 6th in a row. Emotional day at Wrigley. Likely Wilson Contreras' last home game. He was the last remaining guy, really, from their World Series champion. He's likely to be traded. Cubs 4-2 over the Pirates. Giants lost again 7-3 to the Diamondbacks. And Ohtani hit his 21st homer. Angels shut out the Chiefs. The Royals. It's not like it's football season or anything.
Wow.
Angels. All right, couple of field goals. Beat the Chiefs 6-0. College football, Big Ten Media Days, Commissioner Kevin Warren said, we may expand beyond USC and UCLA, quote, if it will add additional value to our conference. He also supports an expanded college football playoff. Remember, The Big Ten joined the ACC and the Pac-12 in squashing the 12-team playoff. Seems a little hypocritical to me. But we'll see. Iowa head coach Kirk Ferentz, Mark, said the sport is in a really precarious place and it doesn't have a firm structure and we need some intervention.
Problem is there's no real intervention that could come out there. Everything that they could do to intervene means unionize the players and pay them as employees, and they're not ready to do that yet.
So Ferentz is a little uncomfortable with the way college football is right now, but he is comfortable with his new contract that he signed last month for $7 million a year. And Pat Fitzgerald said, and I quote, "The game on the field has never been better. Once you walk off the field, it has never been more chaotic." From the Northwestern coach, who's a longtime friend of the show. And finally, Celtics standout Jason Tatum said, "I love our team, and I love the guys we got," in answer to the rumors that they may give up a good chunk of the core of the team to go get Kevin Durant. So there. And that, gentlemen, was...
That was the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you have it.
Big Ten coaches were talking yesterday.
Yeah.
Giving good quotes.
I know. Kevin Warren, apparently he also talked about the government getting involved. All right, which, I mean, once you say that, you lose everybody.
You do.
I mean, everybody. You're like, he was on a roll, but he went off the deep end there. No need to, didn't have to cannonball in front of everybody. You got everybody wet now. They're not on your side anymore.
But it was an eventful day, day one of the Big Ten media days. And, every coach basically saying the sport's in all kinds of trouble.
Right.
They all pretty much just got raises, too.
I was going to say, but man, we can't wait for that new contract to kick in. Bill Bender, who was at Big Ten Media Days, and he lives in Big Ten country. He will join us coming up in about 45 minutes to talk more about it.
And very unlike this show, we have a poll question. It's up. We will discuss it on the other side.
What?
Yeah. How about that? Miller and Moulton, a poll question before 7 o'clock. Wonders will never cease on the Miller and Moulton show here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So I'm reading this Michigan article, and I just happened to scroll past it to the comments. I didn't realize the guy that was covering Michigan State for the Athletic, his name's Colton Pouncey. Is MSU getting a beat writer after Colton left to cover the Lions, asking for a friend? The guy underneath him. Never was a fan of Colton. Tad too much of a fanboy for me, but my God, forced to cover the Lions? Can you get a reprieve from the government? Thoughts and prayers to he and his family.
Damn.
These are people that are in Michigan.
Right.
I mean, damn.
I'm going to have a power nap on the plane today. It'll be glorious.
I'll get in here a little earlier, so I'll have the invite sent to you by probably 5:30 tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Just so it's there. I always feel better that give
Okay.
us a little more time than a little less.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay.
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. A morning where Mega Millions has become Mega Billions. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Nobody won. It's over $1 billion. And if you're looking for numbers, well, we got a bunch of them for you. 8 until the Hall of Fame game, 15 until the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up. Dr. Roto, answer all your questions and then give you a cheat sheet to take with you for your fantasy draft in the ensuing days. Don't know what more we can do for you, and we're going to feed you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think much of the show, but I think we're being great guys.
And we're being really great guys because this is a not-for-profit event.
Got that right. You know why?
We like to call it a David Moulton special.
That's why.
I got a couple more numbers for you.
All right.
21,000. It's the text line.
Oh, look at you. I don't know how you work that into Mega Millions, but
You started with numbers, and
right.
you gave the magic numbers, and I gave you a couple more numbers. I have yet to give you two more numbers.
What's that?
12 or 16.
Okay.
How many teams do you want to see in the college football playoff? Because I know everybody wants 4 or 6 or 8, and then some of you want 64 and 32, but the fact of the matter is one conference named the SEC has suggested 12.
Right.
Another conference named the Big Ten has suggested 16. Does anybody out there think that there's going to be any other choices other than 12 or 16?
I think 16 is too many. I went with 12. Go to that, Mark Miller, the David Moulton, floridasportsnetwork.com, and vote.
I think they're both too many, but given the choices, I still picked the one with the larger number. I went 16, and there's only one reason behind it. Everybody, if we're going to go to this many, I believe that is going to mean home games for the first round of the playoff.
Yeah, it will.
And I want all the 8 best teams to have home games. I don't understand the top 4 teams getting buys and not having the chance to have a home playoff game. I think the atmosphere on 8 college campuses in mid-December would be off the chain.
So 8 home games, and then we got 7 games left. What do you say we put 6 of them in bowls and then have the championship game be a standalone?
I think that you're on to something, but I actually believe, David, that it will be, if they go to 16, it could damn well be the end of the bowls. That college football may end the bowls by themselves, because I think they would go to a model similar to what they do for basketball. And that people would bid on this. And yet there would be more money for college football if they offered it up for bids.
Not that, and this is getting pretty nitty gritty, but let's just lay this out. Let's just say they keep the bowls and they have the quarterfinals, if you will, be essentially New Year's Day bowls. And we all know the bowl games that they would choose. I mean, you'd be down to 8, so you'd play 4 games. But between the quarterfinals and semifinals, you got 6 games. Well, you go rose, you go orange, you go sugar, you go cotton, you go fiesta, and then probably peach.
Probably the Peach Bowl.
And so there's your 6. So you rotate them however it is that they want to do it. Those quote unquote 6 bowl games will host the quarters and the semis. The quarters will be in and around January 1st. The semis will be in and around the January, second weekend in January. The reason that's important, Mark, is right now, that's the final weekend of the NFL. College could play their 2 semis on Saturday. The NFL plays all their games on Sunday, that final weekend. I think they're going to try to squeeze in a couple Saturday games, but college football, if they wanted to, could own that Saturday and then just turn to the NFL and say, hey, Sunday's yours. And then they can figure out probably, say a Monday, perhaps, or a Thursday, whatever day they want to do it, a week or so later, they can have their championship game. And so the sport would go roughly a week to 10 days longer than it does right now, but no fan cares. They want their football. What do they care?
No
if it's a week
fan
later?
cares. No administrator really cares. The coaches certainly don't care. We're adding a couple of games for a couple of teams at the end of the day, because here's the other side of this. All of these teams in the playoffs would have gone to a bowl game.
Sure.
So that first round, if you will, that's on campus is a nothing game for everybody. Everybody was playing in that game. Then you've got a couple of more. I don't see this being the end-all be-all, but I do think that for all of you who are going to give me grief for putting up a poll question with 12 or 16, I don't think there are any other choices.
Right. And maybe we should have put that in the question so that you understood where we were coming from. But to us, to put 4, 6, or 8 is just a waste of time because it's not an option anymore. They're going big. It's just a matter of whether they're going 12 or they're going 16. And there are, besides the size of the playoff, there's one other big issue involving the playoff. All the other conferences want the conference champion to be an automatic qualifier. Greg Sankey does not. Greg Sankey does not want a 7 or 8 win team that is in the conference championship game, because certain conferences will still do the divisional alignment. So you can get a 7 or 8 win team that makes it to the championship game. And then if all of a sudden you have an unranked team or a team ranked in the high teens or low 20s that ends up pulling the upset in the championship game, Sankey's feeling is, hey, great, congratulations. That team doesn't deserve to be in the playoff.
The fact of the matter with the rule changes, though, I don't know how many conferences are going to have divisions anymore. I mean, we're running away from that rather quickly. It doesn't look as if the SEC and Big Ten going forward are having divisions. The Big 12 is not going to have divisions. So I think by the time that this 16-team, 12-team playoff comes to a vote, I actually think I think they can swing Sankey because you're going to have a lack of divisions.
I don't like that, by the way. I actually like the divisions. I do. Because I think you have far more balanced scheduling. There's usually only one game in which people in conferences can complain about, but, oh man, our crossover was such and such, and you got so-and-so. That was much easier. But I mean, now, if you're just going to take your 16 teams in the Big Ten and in the SEC going forward, I mean, you could have radically different schedules.
Right. And you're going to probably everybody will go to 9-game conference schedules. I think it's the only way this works, is that 3 permanent and then 6 and 6. And that way you can rotate through them every 4 years.
And I like the fact that when you have divisions, obviously, everybody's playing within their division. So there's only 1, 2 conference games that are different. So how radically different can your schedule be? It can be different, but it's usually not one where you're absolutely kicking and screaming. Now you could definitely have a schedule in which it's like, my goodness, it's like I'm playing in a different conference than you. So that's all. I like the divisions. Also, let's be honest, we got a lot of schools who really have very little chance now. If you didn't think they had a chance when we had divisions, what chance do you think they have now
None.
of getting into a conference championship game? I mean, whew. I mean, Ole Miss has never been to the SEC title game. Mississippi State's been. Jackie Sherrill got them there once. Arkansas, I think, been there twice. Last time was 2006, but they've been there. I mean, Tennessee hasn't been in 15 years. I mean, if Tennessee doesn't go in the next couple of years, Mark, when do you think Tennessee's going to be in the SEC championship game?
Well, look
again?
at the Big Ten West.
Yeah, exactly.
Iowa and Wisconsin have had their runs and they've gotten there. But, I mean, how tough is it going to be for the Northwesterns, who's actually been able to pull off some great seasons?
Yeah, I mean, they've been in 2 of the last 4, in fact. Minnesota had a chance here recently to win a game and get in it. Yeah, I like the divisional lineup. I really do. And I understand a lot of times one side's a little stronger than the other. Okay. But what's the whole adage of this? Aren't we trying to create a system in which more games matter? Right?
Yes, but this will matter in a different way, because if Penn State loses to Ohio State, they were pretty much done. Their chances of going to the Big Ten championship were done. Now they can play the rest of their schedule, win all their games, and get another crack at someone. So I can argue it the other way too, for some of the strong sides, for the really strong sides, which have been the SEC West, the Big Ten East. I think it gives them, their second place team, a lot better shot. And I know they already had a chance, but sometimes that game's on the road. Sometimes it's early in the season. Sometimes there are other circumstances, injuries, what have you, that'll give a team another crack. So at the end of the day, I'm probably with you. I can argue the other side, however.
You do know what this is doing, don't you? This is professionalizing
100%.
I think that we should change what we call the sport. When we come back, I have.
He's feeling it. He's feeling it, everybody. I can see it building up in there.
It's a little bold.
He might be going for the vending machine. There could be a Snickers in this break. He's feeling it so much.
It's wow. I'm weak. And for you to go Snickers at 12 minutes after the hour, that's unfair. Because the vending machine here takes credit cards, and I can just walk over and go boop and get me a 7:15 a.m. Snickers.
You could.
Which I'm not supposed to have.
One won't hurt you.
Especially after the 1,300 I've had before. But when we come back, I'm telling you, we're going to rename the sport. There's a new professional sports league. Yep. And we're pitching it. It's not spring football either. It's in the fall. You're going to approve of it. It's going to be network deals and everything. Yep. We just have to rename it.
Vote on our poll question, would you? That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com on the internet if you want to vote. How many teams in the college football playoff, 12 or 16?
Because those are your only real choices.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
really.
Sure. And you even show it off to the wife. Go, look what I did, honey. With this married moment.
And that's where it really was. I was going to flip that light on.
Absolutely. Go,
Make it happen on a fucking Tuesday, huh?
Gator Dad, I get you. There's no kids on campuses, but I don't think it matters. Kids aren't what's going to make this game sell on campus.
And besides, kids will go back to campus to go to the game.
They go to March Madness games in the middle of spring break. They go to college baseball games when the college season's over. This is football. I mean, think about it. Here's the only thing, the reason I think the next sites, the bowls could be in jeopardy, David. If I'm the Big Ten, and I have at least 49% of the power, and we're bidding on sites. So you're telling me I've worked, now at least with USC and UCLA, you got the Rose Bowl, but I've worked this hard, and now no matter what, in the next round, I've got to play a road game. You don't think they're going to want Indianapolis or Ford Field or Minnesota to be involved in one of these games at some point?
What do you mean?
Round of 16 on campus. Round of 8, you've said bowl games. Or you don't think that the Big Ten's not going to want one of those games in Detroit, Indianapolis, or Minnesota. That's what I'm saying. Instead of just giving it to the bowl games. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
There is no company on earth that can make their food look so good in a commercial the way Subway does compared to how it tastes.
I will say they're trying. They've altered their menu a lot.
Have they?
Yep. I went in there about 3 weeks ago. I was like, oh, wow, this is different. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's nothing that they have that's as good as Jersey Mike's or some of the other chains. But it's a lot better than it used to be. To me, and they're not selling this part anymore, but to me, the biggest advantage they always had was price.
Right.
Did you get a Snickers?
No, but I was going to make a comment about that. The frozen Snickers bars is the best dessert that you can buy at a grocery store ever. Bodegas, grocery stores, gas stations. The frozen
Yeah,
Snickers
I'm aware
bars.
of what a frozen Snickers bar is.
Best.
I like a frozen Reese's better than a frozen Snickers.
I like a frozen Snickers better than a Snickers. I think a frozen Snickers is the best chocolate bar of all time. And that's my take.
That's his hot take, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, cold take in this instance.
See what he did there?
Yeah, I did.
Dang. You got to stop that.
Yeah, well, first off, one of the defenders has to stop that, but certainly.
Come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You know, it's turned into a handy site. You can go there, vote in our poll question. How many teams you want to see in the college football playoff? And we only gave you 2 options because there's really only 2 options. All the other stuff would just be sports radio talk, but it's not real. What's real is they're either going to go to 12 or 16.
And you can hear it in David's voice. There's pain there because you don't like either option.
No, not at all. Wait, it's too many. It's too many. It makes the regular season a little less meaningful. And in my estimation, that's all. It's not like the NFL. I don't think, a 7 seed can win the Super Bowl. I truly believe that. I mean, we had the AFC 2 years ago in which you had to win 11 games to make the playoffs. Now, as it turned out, if we had expanded it to 7 at that time, the 7 seed would have been the Dolphins, who won 10. But if the Dolphins had won the season finale 2 years ago, the Colts with 11 wins would have been out. The Patriots in 2008 missed the playoffs at 11-5. I mean, I truly think a 7 seed can win the Super Bowl.
No doubt we've watched 6 seeds do it.
I don't think the 12 seed or the 16 seed can win the college football national championship. I don't. And so that's why 14 works in the NFL. But when you start getting into the teens in college, I don't think it works.
And I think part of the 16 thing is to put every conference's champion in. And it's what we love about March Madness. We do. We love the 16 dribbling up and having a shot against the 1.
Especially now that one of them won.
But if App State wins the Sun Belt or whatever hell conference they're in, I think there's a lot of people that would like to see them have a crack at Alabama.
Okay. And, one of these days, the Sun Belt champion will beat a big boy. But then they're probably going to get beat the next week. I mean,
No, I know, but
that's okay.
I'm thinking in terms of March Madness
Right.
as opposed to the NFL. I'm
Exactly.
trying to stick to the student athlete here, David.
Oh, please. And along those lines, Mark, let's face it, college sports is becoming professionalized. I mean, quite frankly, it is professional sports. I mean, it is. I mean, they just, instead of having Phoenix and Miami on the front of their jerseys and what have you, they
have Arizona State
exactly.
and Miami
right
on the front of their jerseys.
So I recommend, since the NCAA is not in charge of college football, I mean, really hasn't been since the mid-'80s. And so to me, in honor of professionalizing college football, and everybody is looking for leadership in college football.
They had legends. Now they're looking for leaders.
Right. But Mark, if you have the Big Ten and the SEC, none of those commissioners are ever going to give up. And certainly they're not going to give up their power and listen to Mark Emmert as president of the NCAA. So what I think, Mark, what you have to do is you have to rename the sport. You have to rename the sport and then name a commissioner.
Well, you and I have been big advocates of a college football commissioner for quite a long time.
Well, Mark, I think we should post a job listing and see whether or not this gets any traction. And I've been thinking about it. And you can't call it the NCAA football anymore. So what can you call it? And I think you can call it the USFA, the University-Sponsored Football Association.
University-Sponsored Football Association.
University-Sponsored Football Association. And we apply, and we list it online, and we need a commissioner of the USFA.
Is that a club sport?
Depends on what school is sponsoring. The University-Sponsored Football Association. And if we can get a commissioner, and then there you go. And then, because Kirk Ferentz called for it yesterday. Okay, we need an intervention. We don't have a firm structure. Kirk, I'm trying to give you some structure. It's no longer college football. It's no longer NCAA. You know what it is? It's USFA, which I know sounds a little bit like that.
Spring Football League.
Well, no, but also I was thinking about the insurance company.
Oh, USAA?
There you go.
It's some cross between the United States Football League and
the USFA. Right. University Sponsored Football Association. Here you go. And we can get a commissioner. Barry Alvarez got some time on his hands right now. I mean, we can find somebody. That's what Kirk Ferentz, Big Ten commissioner, they're calling for, intervention, some structure. I'll give you some structure. All right. Put it under one umbrella, the USFA. And we'll go find a commissioner. You know what? Everybody likes Archie Manning. We make Archie Manning the damn commissioner. How about Roger Staubach?
University sponsored.
USFA. Yep. It's not the USFL. It's not the NFL. All right.
Well, you've almost got a little bit of the Liberty Mutual there. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, you're.
I can do it. Whatever bank or insurance jingle you want me to work into this, Mark, I can do that too. I'm flexible. You know why? Because it's the University Sponsored Football Association.
You got to add some drums in there, though.
Fine. I do all of it. And at the end, give me a Snickers. In fact, that's one of our first corporate sponsors. So the USFA.
I think Snickers would definitely buy in.
Brought to you by Snickers.
What divisions do we have? Well, thanks for asking, Johnny. We've got the SEC division. We've got the Big Ten division. We've got the ACC division. We've got the Big 12 division. We've got the Pac-12 division.
Do we?
For the time being. And I can have 6 divisions. I could have 10 divisions. Hell, I could have 4. It's the USFA. We're flexible. The University Sponsored Football Association, ladies and gentlemen, because
coming to a campus near you.
I mean, let's face it, it's professional sports now. I mean, to call it NCAA football is a joke. To call it college, come on now. Let's work it into a title. Let's give it a 3 or 4 letter league. That's what we're running here. The USFA, the University Sponsored Football Association. I've got Keith Jackson's voice in the back. And welcome to USFA football from Pullman, Washington. University Sponsored Football Association. Just think about it.
I mean, I'd love that you already had the divisions, but since you had Snickers in there, I thought I was going to have a Snickers division. I mean, if we're going to go this far, why can't I just sell the damn division to sponsors?
You want to make this LIV golf? And
absolutely.
Sure, fine. You want to make this European soccer, NASCAR. Hey, listen, once again, I'm flexible. Hell, I got Barry Alvarez as my commissioner. Barry, are you listening in Naples? What do you say? I'll make you commissioner of the USFA.
He's at the Big Ten Media Day.
Oh, that's right.
He won't be back down till
Friday.
Right.
So there you go.
I like it.
University Sponsored Football Association. And for, the South Floridas of the world, I mean, make your pitch. Make your pitch. I'll work you in. In fact, I want to work you in.
Well, that would be if you are the commissioner, do you want to actually work them in, or do you want 4 divisions? Do you want to take your ball and go home?
No, I want many divisions. No, I want to open. It's University Sponsored Football Association. Okay, I want as many fans as possible. I mean, if you think about it, it's pretty close ranks right now. Got the same 8 damn schools are the only ones that can win this thing.
We're not the same 8 damn schools in your association.
Well, could have tried to open it up a little bit.
And how do you propose that?
Well, I'm going to go one of 2 ways, Mark. I'm either going to try to open it up, or I'm going to tell a whole bunch of schools, to be honest with you, you're not invited.
See, that's where I think we're heading.
Because what we could have is the USFA 2. And that's where you guys belong. Some people call it FCS. We call it the USFA 2. And I'll get you a TV contract and everything. Bill Bender of the Sporting News is next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Someone said, who was it? Paul, who said University Sponsored Basketball Association. It'd be USB-A. Yeah, USB-A is like your basic USB port. So there'd be a lot of memes
The
behind
only
that.
bad thing about that error is that he ended up having to throw about 10 more pitches, and he may not be able to pitch tonight.
You stay up for the whole thing?
No. When he struck out Gallo to end the eighth, it was like 10:30, 10:25. I'm like, I gotta go to bed.
Did they show his intro on the TV?
They what?
Did they broadcast his intro, like his walk-in?
I don't know. I wasn't paying close enough attention. I was packing and what have you.
You've seen it before, right?
Oh yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, how great was that? The guy's wife said he was dead.
Right.
Everybody takes to Twitter and does their RIPs, and the cable news channels run their pre-cando bits, and about 3:00. I'm wondering if somebody because apparently his like kids and grandkids are like with him in the hospital. I'm wondering if
he's about to die.
Yes,
He's in hospice.
yes.
He's going to die.
Right. He's not in good shape.
No, he's got
But-
cancer and
Yeah, but the wife obviously jumped the gun here. Apparently so distraught by his soon to be passing that
I will say, having been in hospice with my father, you know how many times you think someone's dead?
Oh, really?
And then when it gets down to the breathing so infrequent, you just
can't throw. Nelson Cruz, soft stuff. His bat's slower. It's the only stuff he can hit. Johnny, has it ruined sports, or has it just made it less enjoyable? And my question to you is, why does it matter to you how much money they make? And they're still playing, right?
It pains me to say this, but a Mets Yankees World Series would be pretty cool.
They did it once before,
2000.
and 95% of the country could care less.
Really?
Yeah, didn't watch. It was actually far and away the lowest rated Yankees World Series ever.
Whoa.
Now I'll say this: if it had happened a year later or 2 years later, after the attacks of September 11th, I actually think it would have been different. But yeah, America didn't care.
Wow.
By the way, my buddy Bob said that the walk-in was not showed.
Dang.
The what?
So epic.
Diaz, he's got a theme. And, like a lot of relievers too.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Our poll question at floridasportsnetwork.com. We're dealing in reality. No sense asking you 4, 6, 8 teams. Whenever they expand this college football playoff, they're going big. They're going double digits. So we're asking you, which system would you prefer? The SEC's 12-team system or the Big Ten 16-team system? That's our poll question, floridasportsnetwork.com. Bill Bender's at Big Ten Media Days. He covers college football for the Sporting News. You can follow Bill on Twitter, BillBender92, BillBender92. Bill, it's David and Mark once again. Thanks for doing this, particularly at this hour. How are you?
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's always our pleasure. So what'd you make of Big Ten Media Days? That's about as quotable of a Big Ten Media Day as we can remember.
Yeah, I mean, from the expansion talk to the Jim Harbaugh's always good for a few. And, it was a lot. It's typically a buttoned-up event, like you said. I don't think anything earth-shattering happened yesterday. I mean, it was pretty much, okay, this is where we're at. And, aside from Kevin Warren and the continual talk about realignment, expansion, and this move towards super conferences that I think we're headed to, not much.
Well, I mean, they did talk a lot about a 16-team playoff, though, Bill. And I mean, it had been, the SEC's proposal of 12. We not heard a lot of 16. And then yesterday, it seems that the 16-team playoff was the, pretty big talk at the Big Ten Media Days. Do you think that is where they are? Is that now going to be the fight? The Big Ten wants 16, the SEC wants 12?
Well, I mean, we didn't hear it till after the events. I mean, that was from Pete Thamel's story with Gene Smith. So I don't, not a lot of coaches, they'll probably be talking about it today. But you know what? I've heard that a few times. I'd heard that from Dabo last week, in his comments. You're hearing this 16 number pop up a few more times, and maybe that's been discussed behind closed doors a little more than we think. And, I don't know what the SEC would want. I think the SEC is in a spot right now where they'll take whatever, 4, 8, 12, 10, 16, because they'll still have the most teams in the playoff because they have the best conference in college football.
Bill, if you were advising Kevin Warren, he said something interesting yesterday. He said, we may expand beyond USC, UCLA, quote, if it will add additional value to our conference, unquote. Do you think there are schools that add additional value? And is additional value now described as the networks putting more money on the table?
Notre Dame, that's what everybody's waiting on. And that may be a few years before they do that. Some of the West Coast schools, I mean, Oregon and Washington would add value, I think, because they would add value by giving USC and UCLA some natural travel partners. Those are the ones that stand out. And even Stanford, because if you get Stanford, then you have Stanford and USC, and then you make it hard for Notre Dame justifying playing outside of their conference with all of their rivals being in the Big Ten.
I laughed. Travel partners, Oregon and Washington for USC and UCLA. It's LA to, and I know you're right, Bill. It's just you start thinking about it in terms of geography. It's travel partners, but man, oh man, I don't know if the Big Ten has many distances that are much further unless you're going Rutgers to Nebraska and things of that nature. When you look at Jim Harbaugh, how much pressure do you think Michigan has on them? Jim made it pretty apparent. Says, what's the goal of the season? Beat Ohio State and Michigan State in the same year, win a Big Ten title and a national title. How realistic are those goals for Michigan this year?
That'd be tough, but I don't think there's a ton of pressure on him. They're the defending Big Ten champions, so that was a big win for them. They have a tough road this year. I think everybody's picking Ohio State to win it, and with good reason. They're going to have. They might have one of the best offenses of all time with what they have coming back. They did lead the nation in points and yards last year, so they have all that coming back. It's pretty scary what they've got going on in Columbus. But I don't think there's. He's there. He's done flirting with the NFL. The players made it sound like they knew he was coming back all along, and they're the Big Ten champions. I don't unless. What the pressure point is. They got to beat Michigan State. But I don't think they're quite there on a national championship run anyway.
Bill Bender, the Sporting News. Follow him on Twitter at BillBender92, BillBender92. And you might not agree with this premise that it took Georgia half a dozen years under Kirby, but now they're 1A, if you will, in that conference. Who's going to become 1A in your estimation in the Big Ten? And not just beat Ohio State once. I think you know what I'm getting at here. Who do you think of the rest of that conference? And is it USC down the road? Who becomes 1A to Ohio State's 1?
Michigan. That's the problem. It's still going to be Michigan. Michigan's the best program in the conference other than Ohio State. And it's been that way for 50 years. It's just Ohio State has more talent. Maybe USC when they come in, maybe Lincoln Riley gets them going, but what does that look like? Does it look like what he did at Oklahoma, where they're not going to be able to burn through the conference like they did the Big 12 at Oklahoma, and they go to the playoff and lose by a bunch of points? So I still think it's Michigan. I think USC adds another layer. And then you have that weight class of Penn State, Wisconsin, and Michigan State that are always in the mix, but I don't think they'll ever become what Ohio State is.
Are there any of them not named Ohio State that have NIL going better than the others that could vault them into that? You look at what the Miami Hurricanes are doing right now with Ruiz. They have a great coach, and they have got the NIL locked down. Is anybody in lockstep with their NIL program that's not Ohio State in the Big Ten, Bill?
No, not right now. Because some of the coaches or the teams, the coaches, the philosophies are mostly similar. I kind of say this in jest, but because it'll never happen, obviously, but if you took Ohio State out of the Big Ten, the Big Ten race would probably be pretty damn exciting. You know what I mean? Because Wisconsin, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State, all those schools are pretty close in terms of their talent, the NIL, the things they do. Even Minnesota and Iowa are in that zip code. I just think Ohio State, from an organizational standpoint, is so far ahead of everyone else that, you know what I mean? Whether it's recruiting or the talent level, it's just hard to keep up with them. I don't know what they would have to do not to win the Big Ten this year.
Bill, is it inevitable that they're eliminating divisions when USC and UCLA join? And if so, do you think that's a good thing?
They might. Just because there's so many teams, there'll probably be some reorganization. Right now the division setup hasn't really mattered in terms of the Big Ten East has won the Big Ten championship every year since they moved away from the legends and leaders setup. So I don't know that it'll matter. I think they'll come up with some sort of scheduling system. The one problem they're going to bump into, and Rich Eisen was talking about this last week, was, USC's going to want to play Ohio State in Michigan every year. They're not going to want to come to the Big Ten and, do what kind of like what Nebraska has had to do and not play them every year and play a bunch of middle of the country teams that those fan bases don't care about. So they're going to want Ohio State, Michigan on the schedule frequently. There's no doubt about that.
Michigan State was a surprise team in the Big Ten last year. Who's the surprise team this year, Bill?
I like some of those teams in the Big Ten West. If I say Nebraska, you guys probably laugh, but I'm feeling they're going to be a little bit better. I mean, they competed last year. They got a new offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple. A lot of things are going to have to fit to make that happen. But if they can just win that first game and get the season off, and they're going to Dublin, if they just win that first game, they could be that team. And you know what? If Northwestern beats them, I'm just going to cheat on this question and say Northwestern could be the surprise team.
Well, and they've done that twice in the last 4 years. Speaking of Northwestern, Pat Fitzgerald, very quotable yesterday. The game on the field has never been better. Once you walk off the field, has never been more chaotic. Kirk Ferentz says we need an intervention. Did you think that they were complaining, or did you think that they were just like, got to admit, could just use a little help here?
Yeah, I mean, because those two do such a good job of, running their program and maximizing what they can do. I mean, Iowa's a hard place to draw 5-star guys to no matter what. Northwestern, given what that school is about, I mean, Pat has a way that he's done things that's made him very successful for a long time there as both player and coach. And like you said, he is an amazing quote. He's a very open book, and it's a good thing. So, I think those two in particular, they just know that in an NIL and you're talking about the money figures that players can get, I'm not sure that they probably know that their schools are going to have a really hard time keeping up.
Bill, we thought we were going to get a Big Ten deal, TV deal, perhaps before these meetings. Any word on when we think we might finally find out what the Big Ten is going to do going forward with their television?
Yeah, Kevin Moore was very evasive about that yesterday. I mean, I'm sure they're still ironing out the details, and the numbers are going to be ridiculous. But, I mean, he wasn't giving anything away. I know he took a few questions about it and was very, commissioner-like, where they can give you an answer without giving you an answer.
Is there something you didn't hear yesterday that you're hoping that you hear something about today, whether it be from a coach or from a league official?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we're going to hear about the 16-team playoff now, and every coach is going to come up with an answer for that, and it's probably going to be prepped. And then I think it'll be pretty boilerplate. Ohio State, Ryan Day is pretty good on the podium, but he doesn't give much in terms of, he's not going to give any bulletin board material for Notre Dame or anything like that. So I think it'll be a pretty run-of-the-mill day. And now that I say that, and I'm getting ready to get out of my hotel room here, it'll probably be off the charts.
30 seconds. Do you think 16's too many?
Yeah, I do. I like between 8 and 12, just because, as you guys grew up with the sport too, that college football is about the elite, and you want to see the elite in there. And once you get down to 16, it's really going to stress what the regular season means. So I think anywhere between 8 to 12 works for me. 16 might be a little too high, but then again, it might be pretty cool.
Bill, thanks for making time for us. Have a great day today. Safe travels, and hopefully we can talk again around the start of the season.
Anytime, guys. Thanks so much for having me. Take care.
Bill Bender of the Sporting News. He's very good at what he does, which is write about college football. And you can follow Bill on Twitter at BillBender92. Bill Bender 92. 16. Got to admit, that Snickers bar does not taste good. Not for me. And that's saying something, because it's tough for that bar not to taste good. But I don't know. Sometimes you get one, it might be a little stale, and some of the chocolate's stuck to the wrapper. It's kind of what 16 feels like to me.
A Snickers bar that's not good. That's
well,
what
you can get one. You can get one that's a little.
You know how you get it. It's when that daughter throws all the same candy in there. and somehow that Snickers bar starts to smell like gummy worms.
That's
It's just
possible
been too
too.
close to something else.
Usually it has to be in a vending machine, and somehow, some way, it's been in there a long time. That's all. I mean, it's very few and far between, but
I mean, even that one that you don't realize was in the freezer for 5-6 months still tastes good.
well, that is true. That is true, because the taste has been kept there by the cold. University Sponsored Football Association. That's what we're calling college football now on this show. It's a professional sports league. We might as well make it sound like one. We can get a commissioner. I nominate, Staubach, Alvarez, Archie Manning. I mean, you name it. Just, first commissioner, just somebody, give us a little credibility, a little respect that everybody will talk to, do some business dealings with. And then I'll bring in a young power broker right after it.
Well, I'm glad you're doing that because we need someone to run the show because what you gave me is not running the show.
No, it's ceremonial. Yeah, it's ceremonial. First couple years, slap the back, handshakes, golf outings, that sort of deal.
University Sponsored Football Association.
USFA. That's what college football now is. It's the USFA, University Sponsored Football Association. It's professional. Let's be honest. Let's get a commissioner. You know what? Just to really spice things up, Tim Brando. Huh? You want pressers? Want 3.5-hour pressers?
Ask a question at that press conference. Go and get lunch. Are you
There
kidding
you
me?
Tim Brando, commissioner of the USFA. Yep.
Boy, you are feeling it this morning, Moulton.
I am. I'm just punchy tired enough that I'm dangerous.
This is something. The University Sponsored Football Association. It's came from my poll question, and I say mine because David does not like it. He knows it's inevitable. 12 or 16. He doesn't really like either of them. He'd prefer 8.
Or 6.
But that ship has sailed.
Yep.
And because of that, I get the University Sponsored Football Association out of him. Roy Cummings will talk Bucs next.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I want to run through a wall when I hear that.
What's that?
Edwin Diaz's walk-up song.
Today's National New Jersey Day. I don't know why we need a national day for it.
Yeah, I don't think Jersey's interested. USFA, baby.
It's got a nice ring to it.
I mean,
USTA.
Got to make a...
Not UTSA. Not University of Texas.
no, not UTSA. No Cal State Fullerton. Nope. 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 No UT dash whatever. Nope.
Got to add the drums somehow with a little... Did you see this catch, by the way?
Oh, yeah. With a beer in his right hand.
Oh, my goodness.
With a beer in his right hand.
That's probably top 5 fan catches I've ever seen in my entire life.
There was one earlier this year also, guy. I mean, the best or the babies one?
The best, the one with the baby.
Well, yeah, but this dude...
No, it was great.
And snagged it.
And he had about 2/3 to 3/4 of a beer, too, in the other hand.
And it was a homer, too. Like,
yeah,
it was a line drive home run.
Yep.
Oh, nice play. Oh.
Tell you what, they hurt the bare hand. I know that for a fact.
Oh, that's for sure. Worth it. Worth it. I'd break my hand for a play like that.
They don't hurt that. You'd have to catch. I tried to catch a Manny Ramirez foul ball that was coming at Moulton and I when we were doing a show. And I didn't bring it in. I was really pissed at myself. It hurt like a bitch, though.
You guys were doing a live show like at one of the spring training games?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Ramirez at one point, because he's 20 feet from us in left field, and he just stops and he's looking at us while the game's going on. Like, what are these two guys doing?
Because he could hear us.
Wait, were you guys doing it in the Monster?
No, we were doing it at the old ballpark.
Yeah. Downtown. And so we were like first row of where, left field, and we were like 6 feet in foul territory.
Wow. That's cool.
And so he was in his position in left field, and it's a spring training game, so he's not really paying attention. So all of a sudden now he hears us yahoos, and he's kind of looking over at us. There's a foul ball came our way. He got close to us. He just kind of stopped and watched for a few seconds. And then it's like, I guess I got to go back to my position.
Then he almost hit me.
Right.
Well, he did hit me.
Was that the one that had on the one hop, or was that just the line drive?
It came down. I tried to catch it here.
Because we also had the one.
We had one hard.
One hopper, right? Foul.
This was a kind of a duck hook, if you know what I mean. It was hooking foul.
Snap the 2-iron, hook the tee.
It's one thing that's great about being a Marlins fan. You can just talk to the people in the outfield. There's no one there. Me and Starling Marte, we're boys. I miss him.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it's the 8 o'clock hour of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We've renamed college football, the University Sponsored Football Association, the USFA. That's what it's known as. I mean, anybody,
He's feeling it today, everybody.
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But they're feeling it in the NFL because training camps are underway everywhere. And that means Roy Cummings, he's got to go to work. Gotta go to work. PewterPirates.com, PewterPirates.com. Follow him on Twitter, rcummings, FHCN. You have to acknowledge, Roy, that from your standpoint, remember how long those days used to be. They were 2-a-days. You had to be there at like 7:30 to try to get a word in before they started the morning session. Then they were too tired to talk after the morning session. And then you tried to get a word with them before the afternoon session. And then we were there all day before. Now, a couple, 2-3 hours.
Yeah, it does not. It is not the same. For a reporter, well, for players too. I mean, because they have meetings afterwards and everything else. So training camp used to be 14-hour days, and that's not an exaggeration. You were there before the sun came up at the training facility, wherever it may have been. With the Bucs, it's Tampa, it's been Disney World, it's been where they are now, and you were there till 9 o'clock at night. And if there was breaking news, sometimes you were there later. I remember nights where you worked until midnight. You got up again the next morning at 5 o'clock. You started all over again. But now it's kind of like a regular practice day. It's not difficult at all. You show up at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, depending on what time the practice is. Maybe later if it's an afternoon workout. Even later if it's an evening workout. There's not really a lot of news breaking in most cases. It seems, because you don't have holdouts anymore. It's much easier to sign draft picks. First day of training camp, that used to be a big thing. Was who's holding out, that kind of stuff. Still have some holdouts here and there, but not very much. And getting the draft picks all signed, usually that happened around the first day of training camp. You always had a couple of guys still had to get cleaned up. So it was a different world then, and it's amazing how it's changed. It's quite different now, and a whole lot easier.
Well, there was a bit of Bucs news yesterday, though. They do sign Julio Jones. Where is he going to fit in on this team, Roy?
Well, I think he fits in, in essence, he kind of replaces Antonio Brown. He's a third option, maybe a second option, in a lot of cases. I like the pickup. It smacks a little bit of desperation, and it also is a little bit of a hint that maybe Chris Godwin isn't as healthy as everybody hopes he's going to be. But it's more of an insurance policy against losing him, and more of a statement about what's behind Chris Godwin than anything else. Maybe you get the feeling that the Bucs, aren't completely enamored with Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, and Cyril Grayson, and I understand why. I mean, those guys have always. It seems like they've consistently played up to the level that they need to play at when they're given the chance, and so this is. But if he's out there, he's a talent. You deem that he's healthy, he can probably help you. I would warn Bucs fans: don't expect the Julio Jones that you envision. You envision Julio Jones, running down the sidelines and catching passes as a Falcon and beating you up all the time. 80 to 100 catches a year, 1,000 yards plus, double-digit touchdowns. Don't expect that. If he gets 45 or 50 catches, 500 or 600 yards, 5 touchdowns, it's a great season for him. Because again, you're looking at a third option probably, but injuries could force it. But hey, when you're all in on the Super Bowl and you think you got a shot at it, and the Bucs do, you go out and get pieces like this. It's a good pickup for them. It could work out much better than it's likely to, but it could also not work out that well. And if it doesn't, well, what have you lost? Really, not much.
Good news for the Bucs yesterday, besides the Jones signing, is that Godwin was cleared to participate in camp. We thought maybe he'd be a PUP list guy, but they said he passed his physical less than 7 months after ACL surgery. Let's hope everything works out okay. You think Julio will accept potentially playing behind a guy? He was teammates with Russell Gage, 2 years ago where he was the 1 and Russell was the 3, and now Gage was recruited by Brady even. I mean, Gage could be the starter and a number 3 receiver, and Julio could be the number 4 receiver. You think Julio's ready for that?
Mentally he probably isn't, but don't forget, this is a guy who's going to work at it. He knows he's got to go out there and kind of earn his opportunity, and I don't think he's afraid to do that. I don't think he expects anything to be handed to him. He knows he's coming off 2 seasons that were subpar for him, but there are also 2 seasons in which injuries really slowed him down, and that's the biggest concern is, how is he health-wise? Is he healthy enough? And, he may be at the point in his career, 33 years old, where he's better off, playing, 45, 50 snaps a game as opposed to 75 snaps a game. Because, the body just maybe can't take it as much. The real question with him is, and this is something you watch, early in training camp, these are one of the things you can look for. How are the legs? If the legs are good and he can still run, well, then he's going to be a weapon for him. If he's lost a step, and it's evident, that could be a problem. But this is, watching him in some of these shadow drills and watching him against in the one-on-one drills, even if they're not in pads, how's he look against these defenders? That's going to be rather important because that's going to tell you what he's capable of. He's going to be out there and he's going to be busting it. I don't think this is a guy who's going to put it on a pace for opening day because he can't. He was just signed. He could be cut next week. So. He's going to have to prove that he's worthy of a spot, and he's going to have to earn it.
Don't we kind of have a lot of those same questions with Kyle Rudolph coming off of the injury? I mean, hey, he's going to be a great red zone target. He can block really well, but how healthy is he? Because he wasn't very healthy last year. He wasn't very good last year.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And that's it's a little bit of the story of the Bucs in a lot of ways. I mean, it's not like everybody's coming off injuries, but Tristan Wirfs was banged up a little bit late last year. Obviously, Chris Godwin, Kyle Rudolph. There's a few guys on this team that right now you say, okay, well, let's wait and see how they look, and so that's a bit of a concern. And so it kind of speaks just to the Buccaneers in general. I think it's one of the reasons that they do continue to go out there and get these extra bodies, that names that we know, and in some cases, names that we don't, but guys who have a lot of potential because they know they need depth. I think they realize that they were very fortunate the last couple of years, certainly the first year when they won the Super Bowl, to have Rob Gronkowski go and play 15 games. I mean, that was incredible. Nobody expected that. To have him healthy through the playoffs, nobody expected that. I think they realize that it's not going to be that way with everybody. Julio, they may not get that out of Julio Jones. You can always count on Mike Evans. Is not a knock in any way, but you always count on Mike Evans, dealing with a hamstring issue here and there. It's a big body. And he plays hard, so he's gonna get hurt. Chris Godwin's gonna miss some time here and there. All these guys are gonna end up, probably missing a little bit of time, whether it's practice time, game time. Have to take a week or 2 off somewhere. It's more than likely that's gonna happen. So you got to have these depth pieces, and they need them more than ever at tight end now, because the depth that we all once talked about, and constantly wondered what are they going to do with this guy, what are they going to do with that guy. Well, guess what? All of a sudden, those guys are gone, and now what was once a great strength is almost borderline weakness.
Bucs still have to be looking for a running back, right? And I don't know what's out there, to be honest, and I don't know if much will be out there before final cuts. But I mean, right now, a rookie draft pick, Rashad White's probably the second teamer. I mean, Brady's never trusted Keyshawn Vaughn. That's pretty evident in his first 2 years. Giovanni Bernard's just a third down guy. I mean, if something happens to Fournette, Roy, they might throw 60 times a game.
Well, one of the good things about the NFL these days is if something happens to Leonard Fournette, there's plenty of bodies out there to go get. Running back is a spot where you can bring somebody in just about any time, and usually they can be pretty effective for you. It's not like replacing a quarterback. Obviously, you can usually do all right. I think they like their room there. The running back group. I think that obviously they're going to lean more on Fournette now. They know that. They know they can lean on him even as a pass catcher. Giovanni Bernard, you look at the depth chart, he's fourth, but I think he's more of a third because, as you said, Keyshawn Vaughn's going to have to earn some trust from Tom Brady. But I think they believe in Rashard White a lot. I mean, look, you don't go out and spend the kind of draft pick that they spent on a guy like that and then not think that he's got something going for him. I think I like him. You know, is he as good as Ronald Jones? We'll see. I think they could have still, held on to Ronald Jones and been better for it. I think they may regret letting him get away, but at the end of the day, this is the way they've gone. And, there's always running backs out there to get. There's always going to be somebody out there. And again, usually a name that you recognize that you can go get, you can plug in for, 8 carries a game or for, 6 games over the course of the season. And they'll usually help you out a lot. So it's not and again, Bruce Arians is still involved in the team. Let's not forget that. He's a strong believer in basically, going after guys at running back who are not big, not big salary guys. He doesn't want to waste a lot of assets on a running back because, again, you can find guys who nobody's ever heard of, and all the next thing you know, they're running for 120 yards in a game if everything works for them. So it's really more about the offensive line in front of them. So I think they feel good about the room, but that's a spot they'll be looking at for sure throughout the course of the regular season and the preseason.
Rashad White, a rookie third-round pick out of Arizona State, and, of course, Vaughn, drafted from Vandy a couple years ago. Roy, as always, appreciate your time and your insight. All the best with training camp. Hopefully we can talk, mid-August, late August. Would that be all right?
Anytime you guys want. I'm ready, and it's that time of year, so let's go ahead and do it and have some fun.
Cummings, Bucks Insider, pewterpirates.com, pewterpirates.com. Follow Roy on FHCN, R. Cummings, FHCN. Roy Cummings joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
They're old.
Well,
that's an old team. They have got to stay healthy. I mean, they're older than they were even a year ago, though, David, and not just at the quarterback position.
No, I understand. A
lot of parts being brought in that are going to be relied upon, and they're going to have to stay healthy.
Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett in 25 minutes here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I always check the music thing to make sure I don't miss anything. Today in 94, Bob Seger serves jury duty. He was the foreman of a criminal child. Could you imagine being on a jury and all of a sudden there's Bruce? By the way, did you get your Springsteen tickets?
I did.
You know what they're worth?
Well, I don't know what they're worth, but I know what I paid.
The ones in Tampa, their tickets already going for over $5,000.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He sold it off to Ticketmaster, and they're gouging people.
No. The resales are going for $5,000,
Oh,
not
resales.
not tickets. Like
Gotcha.
tickets that were $200 are going for $5,000.
So, what do you want to do with this one?
I don't know. I was just thinking the same thing.
Oh!
Have we talked about Chris Carson retiring yet?
We mentioned it in
In the starting five?
Yeah.
Norman Lear's 100 years old today.
Unbelievable.
Who?
May want to look him up. Produced a few iconic television shows. Granted, 50 years ago.
The only thing that story, that hockey guys that saved the pilot, I thought was, I don't know if that's, there's that.
Say that for the good or no?
I have those already up.
Oh, okay.
That are non-sports, but I can go there if you got something else. I'm just that.
No, I was just going to recap
that
some
and
stuff.
We could have a little fun with who was it? Was it Rodan who just decided to kick the bat and hit his own player yesterday?
Yeah, I didn't hear who the player was. I heard
it was the shortstop. He went back in the game. I didn't know if we could,
The Seahawks have 2 Canes running backs. Maybe they'll get more touches. Who knows? Well, they just drafted Kenneth Walker as well.
Well, Pete loves to run the ball.
Yeah. DJ.
And with their quarterback, whoever it'll be, they'll run the ball.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton on this final hump day of July. here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Seth Everett to join us in a little more than 15 minutes time. And remember, he joins us on Twitch before you hear him on the radio, which is another reason to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. If you're an Amazon Prime customer, you get a Twitch channel. It comes with it. And there's many different forms of Twitch. You can just follow, but also there's a subscription. And if you're an Amazon Prime customer, you have a free subscription. Make our channel your channel of choice, and there's no commercials. And, during the commercials, we kind of do a show. So it's moderately
full-on
entertaining.
Q&A during the commercial breaks.
Yeah, as they said about us, 15, 16 years ago, it's somewhat successful. So join us on Twitch.
There you have it. Vote on the poll question as well. How many teams do you want to see in the college football playoff? And there are only two choices because the SEC's proposal has 12. Yesterday, there was talk about 16, and you'll hear that get a lot of steam today at Big Ten Media Days.
I mean, Dabo mentioned it last week at ACC Media Days, and it was mentioned yesterday, Big Ten Media Days. So there you go. That's what's out there, 12 or 16. No sense putting 4, 6, or 8 up on the board. It's not realistic. When we change this sucker, we're going either 12 or 16. I think 16 is a bad idea. But you brought up, we all know why, if it goes bigger, why it's going to happen. It means more games, and that means more what, Mark?
More money.
There you go.
And the talk was all the time, if 12 teams were the case, there was going to be home games. And that means the top 4 teams would not play a home game. And at the end of the day, that's going to be a big deal on this because that's more money.
I wonder if the compromise is the other conferences who want 16, they get 16. And I will say, if you're a group of 5, you obviously want it to be as big as possible. Then, the Sun Belt and the Mountain West and what have you, they can get their team in. And maybe Sankey gets his wish in which there are no automatic qualifiers. You want to go 16? Okay, fine. I think it's too big, but whatever. It probably means one more team for us. But Greg Sankey's adamant about, I do not think that a conference champion should get a bid because they're a conference champion, because he thinks you can have either you can be in a bad conference. You cannot be that. Think about if the Pac-12 gets rated here a little bit more, yet stays, quote unquote, as the Pac-12. Let's just say Oregon and Washington leave. So it's down to 8. They bring in Fresno State, San Diego State, Boise State. They find a way to get it back up to 12, and they can call it the Pac-12. And obviously somebody's got to win the sucker. And they win it one year, and they win it, they're an 8-win team or what have you. But they win the Pac-12. And Sankey's argument is yeah, but they're not that good. No offense. They couldn't beat the 6th best team in our conference. And the 6th best team in our conference is not going to get a bid. So why should they get a bid? Just because they won their bleep conference. So that's his argument. And I wonder if that'll be the compromise. They'll pat him on the head and they'll go, okay, fine, Greg. That's fine. We get our teams. We get more money. That's what we're happy about. Save face.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you're going to have, in order for 16 to work, all these group of 5 teams going to have to get somebody in it. That's why I think they're going to 16. That's why I think they're going to push 16. Some sort of fairness and equity, and everybody has a chance, means every conference means every game matters. It actually would.
Is that going to be our theme, by the way, for the University Sponsored Football Association, the USFA, which is the new name of college football, because it's no longer college football. Come on, it's professional. This is professional sports. They're just using the universities, but it's professional sports. So we have to give it a professional sounding name. And I don't know.
I'm waiting for that.
Okay, so So you don't think I did a good enough job?
Oh, no. Don't
The
get
university
me wrong. I thought
sponsored-
you did an amazing job.
The university-sponsored football association, we're going with the USFA. The USFL gets a little bit of, marketing benefit off of it, but the USFA, you have to admit, it has a much better chance than the USFL or the XFL, right?
There's no doubt there.
It's another reason why I didn't want the L on. There's too many football leagues that have the L that are losers. You had the UFL that tried to make a go of it also.
Adding the L, you end up being a loser, huh?
Right. The WFL, no. There's one,
We want A's.
USFA, right, University Sponsored Football Association. That's really what it is. I mean, I'm recognizing the fact that they're using colleges, but come on, this is professional. It's the USFA. I mean, Mark, I'm willing to create a system, relegation. Every few years, we could just relegate.
See, now, when you had the USFA too,
right.
that leads to relegation. And
I mean, Mark, there's a part of it in which I think, we could turn that into a spring football league. It would have a better chance of working. If
you had me with
Okay.
USFA too.
All right, fine.
Can you pump the brakes before you put it in the spring?
All right, fine. We go USFA and USFA 2. USFA 2 would be what, those call FCS football right now. I mean, North Dakota State can win USFA 2 just as
And
easily.
they could win it just as easily with all the group of 5 schools being in there right now.
Right.
That's the part of this that no one wants to seem to recognize. They could do just as good of a job with all of those schools in it.
There's another reason to hate 16. The FIUs and the FAUs actually think they can make the playoff now. And they won't do what they really should do, which is drop down a notch and compete in the USFA 2 and compete for championships. Instead, now they're going to think, well, we win this lesser conference. We can
get
sneak
in
in
the playoff.
We can be a 15, 16 seed.
And we're going to keep dumping millions upon millions of dollars into a loser.
God, 137 people come and watch us play here at FIU. I don't know where the voice came from.
I don't either, but I let it go because we both go to that voice occasionally.
So there you go. We should have put it in the poll question. All right. How many teams should there be in the USFA playoff?
16.
I voted 12. 16's too many. I think you make a very valid point, though. The top 8 will get home games.
And there's no way
right.
5 through 8 are going to get home games.
And 1
through 4 are not.
So winner, chicken dinner. Everybody's happy, yada, yada, yada. And then we move on.
So I think that'll be what you hear a lot of today. The 16-team playoff is going to be the big talking point at Big Ten Media Days.
2026, by the way, is the earliest that we can redo this sucker. We got 4 more years under the current system.
And it's not going to change in the next 4 years.
No, the last chance to change it was last year.
Right.
When the Big Ten, ACC, and Pac-12 formed an alliance to block the playoff proposal. And the Big Ten then said, hey, thank you for that alliance. A year later, we'll take USC and UCLA off your hands. It was a hell of an alliance. It was kind of like the French defending the Ardennes forest against the Germans. Well, they're not gonna come through this forest. This forest is impenetrable. Germans showed up in Paris. They went, I don't know. We just walked right through the woods. It's pretty easy. It's a hell of an alliance you guys had there. Then a few years later, they came back and walked through it again.
How the ACC could trust anybody after this. The Pac-12 has already been crushed, but how the ACC could look at any other conference with any trust after this is beyond me.
Man, with an alliance like that.
Right.
Damn. I mean, the Pac-12 might as well form an alliance with Sankey and the SEC for all good this did them.
Our buddy Seth Everett is next. Stick around. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What's up, Seth?
Good morning.
Hi, Seth.
What's up?
Not much. How are you?
Not bad. Just got back into town last night. So this
From?
is literally the first thing I'm doing.
From?
I was in Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yeah, little vacation.
Little vacation? Just you and the wife? The kids still at camp?
Kids still at camp.
Oh, good for you.
But the one kid, this is funny. The one kid is on a trip. She's on a whitewater rafting trip, and they're actually staying in a hotel. And the counselors lent them phones. So we were hanging out in Newport Monday night, and all of a sudden my kid called out of nowhere. Hadn't spoken to her in weeks.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. I love that. I wish they had their phones. I know why they don't, but I wish they did. I'd love like 5 minutes. I don't need a lot of time with her. I want 5 minutes. My desk looks pretty much the same.
My daughter gets to use a tablet now. One of her best friend's mom passed. Yeah. So the dad's kind of let her have a phone and lets her talk to my daughter because obviously, we kind of, but it's funny now that there's like 2 other ones. There's 4 of them. All of a sudden they're on the tablet. They're on a 4-way call. They're playing games. They're 8. And I'm like, where is this going? She looked at my wife and she's, you don't know how to do it where you can put multiple people on the call. Mom, you do this, and this. My wife just looked at me.
I love that stuff. During the lockdown, like the 2020 lockdown, my kid, what she would do is when her camp friends called, she would introduce them to her school friends. I thought that was so neat. So her school friends knew her camp friends together.
That is cool.
Then there is the bush light. That's fine.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
I just got a random text from a college buddy who I think knows I'm on the air. He's in Michigan. It's a picture of a girl in front of UCLA. It says, if this is Big Ten country, where's the bush light?
And you say people don't text you.
That's 2 in a month.
Seth, why are you guys not signing Nazem Kadri, by the way?
Who knows? Who knows? I don't understand. Like, they have the cap space. Do it. You can get him. Put him in Palat with Hughes and Heischer. You have a team there. I like the trade for John Marino, the defenseman. I'll take that. Yeah. I like what they're doing. I just do more.
I thought they could have got a better goalie, but
I agree. Well, I agree, but what they're saying is that's the only way to make the other upgrades. Like, it was either
that's bullshit.
Well,
Come on. The goalies out there were not making
a ton
a ton of money.
I would have taken Kemper.
Yeah. Compared to what you have, to be honest with you, you could Georgiev would be an upgrade.
Yeah. Could you imagine the Rangers backup?
Hey, there was once upon a time that Richter and Van Beesbrook were backing each other up. So,
yep. I started watching I watched the first 20 minutes of the documentary on the Avalanche and Red Wings rivalry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good.
You haven't gotten far enough into it yet.
No.
When Shanahan has the best line in it, because he talks about the dirty little secret that he and Lemieux were teammates.
Yeah,
friends.
And Lemieux named his kid Brent. And the first game that Shanahan's in a Red Wing jersey, he's skating by the bench, and Lemieux looks at him and goes, "You're an effing loser. You've never won anything in your whole life."
Come back.
I can't wait to watch the Red.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$22 till we're out of here in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour at the top of the hour. For Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our buddy Seth Everett's kind enough to join us. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream are his three terrific, successful podcasts. And let me tell you, that's tough to do, to have a successful podcast. I mean, the whole world has a podcast.
Right. We even podcast this show.
Right. But have a successful podcast.
That's the key.
And he's got three of them. How are you?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me. And at least two I know are successful. The third one's like the little loyal one that we keep up, let ride in the back seat.
Are you talking Sports with Friends?
No.
No.
Tech Stream is only in its second year. It's the little engine that could.
Okay.
It's also the easiest.
Which makes it the reason why Seth's still doing three.
Right. It's got a co-host.
Exactly. It's got a co-host, and the co-host comes up with the topics most of the time. So that in and of itself makes it a lot easier.
Look at you. You guys are like detectives.
All right, Seth, we've talked a lot of Live Golf Tour with you. The tournament's coming to Jersey. Just curious, how much has the animosity amped up since we talked to you last week in and around the area where this next tournament's taking place?
To be honest with you, I've been out of town. I haven't heard much about it, to be honest. The one thing that I have to recognize, I really do understand the position of a lot of the places that are having real issues with this. What I'd love to understand is why they scheduled it in New Jersey. Was it to slap in the face of the PGA or America, or wherever, however you wanted to do it? The logic doesn't understand. There's plenty of golf courses all over the place that they could have gone to that they wouldn't have gotten that feedback. But no, nobody was saying anything where in the circles that I was traveling.
I'm guessing, but it's because Trump gave them two places to play.
Yeah.
And when they were putting this together, I think they had trouble with courses. Also, think of the time of the year in a lot of cases that they're wanting to get control of these courses, never mind the fact that the tour itself is controversial. So I don't think they had to go to places that we're not going to have relationships with the PGA Tour and the PGA of America and the USGA ever again.
Well,
that's where they had to go.
I think you're absolutely right. The one funny thing, and I guess I could tell you this, there's actually a fourth podcast that I do, but I don't own it. I don't own it. It's a commercial thing that I do for somebody else, and they send me money, and I do this thing for them, and it's for an online sports book. And what they were saying is you can see the inching up to full odds for a live tournament. In the beginning, it was very small. It was just winners or something. And then what you're seeing is it's gradually increasing because fan interest is growing. And what the online sportsbooks philosophy, and I'm not speaking for all of them, but just the one that I know, it just seems to me that as these tournaments get more notoriety, more people will bet on them.
I will say the papers in the New York metropolitan area have given it a great deal of coverage. And there was a press conference, believe it was yesterday, in which some 9/11 families got together and held an event that the local TV stations in the New York metropolitan area.
I was out of
covered.
town. Yeah, I didn't see any of that.
The New York Post yesterday ran their, Jane, You Ignorant Slut stories, and Steve Politi, who's probably the number one columnist in New Jersey
Great
at
guy.
NJ.com. Okay. And a very talented writer. He lambastes it in today's editions.
Yeah.
Do you think we've talked about this a lot. Charles Barkley may or may not. He's been talking to him. He threw his number out there. Barkley is damn near untouchable. If he joins, how much does the heat of the Live Tour, I mean, is that the height of it? If Barkley can survive this, are the golfers going to finally get the pass that they deserve?
Well, I had a question about that because I saw the story, and like I said, it was in passing. If he joins the Live Tour for their coverage, does that mean he is not allowed to work for TNT?
Well, that's yet to be determined.
Okay. If he still works for TNT and he does this on the side, I don't care. If he leaves the Inside the NBA show, which is, the super popular show that I watch once or twice a year, then I think it would be a bigger story. What I think the story of these golfers is that they're suspended by the PGA. They can't go back to the PGA. And does that apply to everybody? And does Turner or whoever owns Turner, I guess Warner Discovery owns Turner now, do they say, hey, if you go on the airwaves for Live Golf, we're never having you on again?
Well, think about,
rat.
Think if we go big picture here, because why is it that the Live Golf, is awful? Because of the Saudi Arabia ties. Well, Barkley makes his living on Turner with the NBA, which has the relationship with China.
Of course.
Okay, so think of, is it a double standard? Is it hypocritical if Turner were to say to Barkley, sorry, we can't keep you because you're doing something that's associated with Saudi Arabia? Okay, I mean, Barkley in an answer last week said, listen, there's a lot of things that are out there that is bad money. You want to call it blood money, whatever you want to call it. He said, I'm an NBA guy. We got the China issue. He goes, I'm a Nike guy. How many things you want to talk about there? And so that to me is the situation. Like, I don't think Adam Silver's going to call up Turner and say, you got to get rid of Barkley. I think this is a Turner decision, and we don't believe Turner will fire Barkley over going to work and doing LIV Golf. Now, we think Subway,
Dick's Sporting Goods, Capital One, that may be a different story.
Right. They'll dump them, and that Barkley will say to the LIV, you basically got to recoup my money that I'm losing.
He's in a lot of commercials.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think if Barkley joins and keeps his NBA gig, then
it's a non-starter. Yeah.
I think going forward, and also they leave the part of the country where they're going to get protested the most.
Right.
And they leave it Sunday. And if they leave it Sunday and then Barkley agrees to broadcast their golf going forward, I don't want to say it's smooth sailing, but I just think it becomes a little bit of noise on their trail.
But one thing I was saying to a buddy of mine, the idea that a network would sign the rights to air this stuff, that would have to be, in essence, you'd have to clear it with every other league. Like if ESPN wanted to go air this stuff, they'd have to talk to the NFL.
Well, we don't think ESPN can because they run a lot of Thursday, Friday stuff on Plus. So, PGA stuff on Plus, a lot of the Thursday and Friday stuff. You've already got CBS and NBC.
I haven't.
Yeah, CBS and NBC are already in bed with golf.
Yeah, so it's Fox and Turner who are the only two networks really in this country and a streaming service, okay, that realistically can run this golf. But we're of the belief that if David Faraday left NBC to
he
do
knows
LIV golf,
yes,
and if Barkley's seriously considering it, then
not to go on YouTube, right?
Obviously, right. This isn't just going to be on livegolf.com.
There's a website, livgolf.com.
As far as I know,
to my computer if I go there. Does the whole thing start shaking?
Your computer will not protest you going to the website. I know that for a fact.
I can't go.
Seth Everett.
I got something for you guys.
Stop it. Let me do my job. Seth Everett, 3 great podcasts, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. Apparently, he's involved in 13 others, but they suck. We won't mention them. Okay.
Suck.
Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett.
Now, what were you saying, Seth? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I was in Newport, Rhode Island this weekend, and I don't know if you saw, but there was a folk festival, and Joni Mitchell made an unannounced appearance.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
I was down the street.
She's made first time she's sang in like forever.
I was down the street, and I didn't know, and I didn't go. I didn't know anything about it, and I'm a massive Joni Mitchell fan, and that was shocking.
You were in Newport, and you knew nothing about the Newport Folk Fest. It's only been going on since the 60s. There was this guy named Dylan.
We found out about it when we got there. When we got there, we found out about it, but we didn't see anything. I didn't look at
more credibility from me with that answer than anything else you ever said, Seth.
I knew that it existed. I just didn't know it was going on then.
Just didn't know where it was?
No, I knew where. I didn't know
when. Of course,
when.
he could hear it, and he's going, wow, that music, that sounds pretty good.
It was all the cars on the other side of the road. I was like, what are all these cars doing?
All listening to the same station. I didn't even know cars had radios anymore.
Wow. Who listens to music on the radio? But apparently they do that here in Newport.
Yeah, I saw it online, and I was crushed.
Especially since you heard it and you go, man, that sounds like Joni Mitchell.
It sounds just like it. Boy, that band is doing a great cover of Joni Mitchell.
This is a hell of a folk festival.
You know what that sounds like? An older Joni Mitchell. When's the last time she's performed?
Man.
Google.
I wish I could see her.
That's funny.
All right. What do you got on these 3 podcasts that apparently people listen to?
Sports with Friends is the great college football writer Andy Staples from The Athletic. And by the end of the episode, he auditions to be on a future episode of the Hall of Justice. He is a big superhero guy. Has a big Optimus Prime statue in his background on his Zoom call. He breaks it down. He explains everything that you guys talk about all the time with this college football stuff. Yeah, so your listeners, you cover it.
Hold on. Think about, Seth Everett, all right, is an expert guest that we have here. You know, that stuff that you guys talk about all the time. You know, that college football thing.
Yeah. You know, like what's going to happen to the SEC and Big Ten. We kind of play crystal ball. And then, like I said, by the end, he shows his chops, and he's going to be on a future episode of the Hall of Justice. The Hall of Justice is a great comedian and actor. Steve Agee plays John Kanoskos in Peacemaker. Great show, gets all the rave, and he is he was a great guest, amazing. He's very good friends with James Gunn, and James Gunn put him in Guardians of the Galaxy, and he explains the story about how that turned into the Suicide Squad movie, and then COVID hit, and then James Gunn was locked in his apartment for months, and he wrote Peacemaker and called him, and he wound up getting another gig, which turned out to be his best gig. So it's a really cool thing. And then Tech Stream, we talk about linear television and the future of it. If you look at the NBC, the network slate, NBC, CBS, Fox, and ABC, how many shows are you actually watching? I found three. I'm going to stay loyal to the Goldbergs. I'm going to stay loyal to Family Guy, and I'm going to check out this new sequel series on Quantum Leap. That's it.
Yeah, that's 3 more than I watch, Seth.
Yeah.
It's funny,
You never touch it.
Really?
there's not one show on network television I watch. I can't tell you the last time I watched a show on network television.
Wow.
I mean, it's been years.
How about that, by the way, for a future poll question?
But on top of that is the 3 shows that I'm talking about I watch on Hulu. So it's not like I'm Tuesdays at 8 setting the
network.
DVR.
Yeah, but they're
No,
network TV shows.
No,
so that counts.
Seth, I will tell you, yesterday I was close to cutting the cord. I called DirecTV,
nice.
and after going through 6 people in a half hour, they knocked $70 a month off my bill. All you have to do is say the words YouTube TV on that phone call, and they send you to the next person that's higher up the chain that can help you out really quickly.
Funny. That's funny.
So, in other words, when Sunday Ticket's over, Mark's going to make 4 more phone calls. They're going to pay him $5 a month to keep it.
Sunday Ticket supposedly coming down the pike pretty soon, maybe before kickoff. The announcement. It's still with DirecTV for 1 more year, but the announcement may come before kickoff for this season.
Yeah, it's going to be Apple.
You think?
Yeah. It's going to be a company they don't currently do business with.
That's the NFL's business model.
That'd be fun. That'd be so fun. If I could have the red zone and all those games on Apple TV, that'd be tremendous.
All right, Seth. Go talk about that sport that they do that thing with, okay?
College football, you've talked about it about 3,000 times.
Yeah, kind of big in the Southeast, which is where we're located. Seth Everett.
He ripped Syracuse. I took that out of the podcast.
Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Seth, all the best.
I'll see you guys.
All right.
Joni Mitchell.
Down the street. Man, she sounds good. Seth Everett joining us here on Miller and Moulton. For those of you leaving, have a great rest of your day. The bonus hour is next. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I got a text here.
Okay.
Who makes a good point, but I thought we could, or actually, I think it's a tweet. It is a tweet from Professor Wheels.
Professor Wheels?
That's his Twitter handle.
I like it. I like it.
You might have to vote. Well, you already voted. I had to redo the poll because I must have only put 2 hours in or something because it came down.
You are You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton, final hump day of July. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We got a bunch of numbers. 8 days away from the Hall of Fame game. If you just want to see grown men in helmets and shoulder pads. 15 days away from the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up to vote.
Or sign up to come.
Yeah, dude, vote for the poll question. Sign up to come to the summit. You can do both, same place. Very multi-dimensional thing. But Dr. Roto will be there. It'll be the doctor. It'll be drinks. It'll be nice dialogue. Bada bing, bada boom. You get a cheat sheet.
You added a D.
I did. So, but the big numbers, 31 days to week 0. 5 weeks tomorrow, 36 days away. Pitt, West Virginia kicks off week 1 of the college football season. 6 weeks tomorrow, 43 days away. We've got the Bills and the Rams and the start of the NFL season.
Dinner, drinks,
Uh-huh.
dialogue.
There you go.
And the doctor.
There you go. Yeah. We just made it 4D. We thought we had a 3D event.
Look
you know
at
what?
you.
I'm going 4D.
We're not 4K, we're 4D.
Or 4G or whatever.
5G, 4K, and 4D now. We've got it all covered.
Hut, hike.
All right. We have folks commenting
about
our poll question. And the poll question is very simple. How many teams would you like to see in the college football playoff? 12 or 16. 12's getting about 2/3 of the vote.
Why did we only put 12 and 16 as the choices?
Because the SEC wants 12, the Big Ten wants 16. And since they're the only two entities that have any control in college football, that's what we're going to get.
There you go. And if there's a third entity that has control, I vote it's Jack Swarbrook, the AD of Notre Dame.
100%. But Professor Wheels on Twitter says, I chose 12, but I think 8 is what it actually should be. They already have trouble getting 2 competitive games in the current 4-team format. 12 to 16 is good for money, but not for quality football matchups that are entertaining. I'm going to take that point, and I actually think he's wrong.
Really?
Now, there's no doubt that we were having trouble getting quality games with just 2 games. But if you're telling me that I'm going to have 15 playoff games and that none of them are going to be competitive, I think you're dead wrong. I actually think this leads to more. Now, we may have some blowouts in the first round, but you could lead to more competitive, a much greater chance for a competitive game because I'm giving you 15 of them.
Right. There's a better chance that 6 versus 11, so to speak, is competitive than apparently 1 versus 4.
Right. That's all. Just as simple as that. I think I don't think there's a way you could argue that there wouldn't be more competitive games. Now, I don't know how many more champions it's going to produce you, but I do believe it's going to produce a lot more competitive games. And the reason I think it's going to be 16 and not 12 is that I think the top 4 teams would really complain, even though there'd be a bye, that they wouldn't get a home game. If we're going to put games on campus, then teams 1 through 4 are going to want a game on campus.
This may be a little too nitty-gritty for quality radio, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. So humor me. Lay out the schedule as to how this is going to work. We're going to keep the regular season the way it is, right?
Yep.
So 12 games, some may be in August, but for the most part, September, October, November, we're going to play our 12 games. And then first weekend in December, we're going to play a conference championship game, right?
Right.
Okay. And then the Sunday afterwards, we're going to find out who the 16 teams are in the playoff.
And I don't know. I guess they would almost have, because they're not going to go head-to-head with the NFL. Are they going to have 8 games on Saturday?
Well, see, that's it. That's it. Because we think they're going to go bigger, not because it's better, but because they'll make more money. More games means more money. Simple as that. So, okay, they're going to go bigger. We're adding 8 games. I mean, 8, the back end we can do. That's
the back
pretty
end's,
simple.
The back end's actually really easy.
Right. The back end, it extends the season a week, but you'll play the quarterfinals in and around New Year's Day. And, there are 6 bigger bowl games than all the others. They'll host the quarters and the semis every year. And then the national championship game will essentially be the Super Bowl of college football. And that'll be played when it gets played a week later. Fine. So the January part of this equation's easy. How are we going to play those 8 on campus? Because I agree with you. And that, to me, is a problem. See, in theory, if you had spread those 8 games out and they were lesser bowl games, if you will, it could salvage the bowl system. You'd have to move some dates of bowl games and what have you, like the Sun Bowl, which is historically on New Year's Eve. That might have to get moved up to like December 15th.
Could you play 4 games one Saturday and 4 the next, and then you don't start again until January? Teams 1 through 4 get to play the first week. Second week of December. Third week of December is the next games. Everybody's off until somewhere around New Year's Day.
Well, my feeling, and for those that are just joining us, I came up with a new name for college football because it's not college anymore. This is professional. This is professional sports here. I mean, the NIL, along with the money we're talking about here, this is professional sports. And so I, tongue-in-cheek, have now renamed NCAA/college football, and it's the USFA. It's the University Sponsored Football Association. If you want to treat it as the USFA, you can play these games any day of the week, just as long as they don't have NFL. So you're not going to play Sunday, Monday, Thursday. Got 4 other days you can play games here. And you got to remember, you're a network and you're asking the networks for big money. You're going to be asking them to pay damn near $100 million per game. I mean, so if you're a network who's going to be shelling out $100 million to televise a 6 versus 11 matchup, well, I better get that sucker in prime time going up against nothing. So that's why scheduling this becomes, unless you're going to do it all in January, and you're going to need the whole damn month.
You are. Because you're going to, you have to try as best you can to avoid anything that has NFL attached to it.
And if you're doing that, for goodness sakes, not that they care, but you want to take more oxygen out of college basketball? So I do think scheduling.
No, you're actually, that's the first argument that hurts my 8 home games.
There's a lot more money on the table. There's no doubt about it. Scheduling it's going to be hard. Now, I will say, in theory, since we're not playing the next game until January 1st, essentially.
Right.
We've got time to play these games. I mean, we don't necessarily have to rush to play them. And for those that are going to go, well, what about final exams?
They don't care.
Once again, this is not college football anymore. This is the University Sponsored Football Association. I mean, Jack Swarbrick, the AD at Notre Dame, said a month ago, I can see a day in the not too distant future in which these players only do football and don't go to school. He's the AD at Notre Dame.
Right. This is not the AD at Mississippi State saying this here. Notre Dame still takes academics seriously at that school. They really do.
Yeah, I mean, they still don't separate the athletes from the student population. I mean, you all room together. There's no athletic dorm. So that's it. I mean, you could use, Mark, a good chunk of that month. It'd be awkward, but it ain't any awkward trying to have kids go to school during the NCAA basketball tournament at all. So that's the only thing. Scheduling this could be awkward. And also, what games are you trying to, because, do you want to play 1 versus 16 right away? what game is it that you're going to the following Saturday where you've got, okay, we could run 2-3 games here. All right. What 2-3 games are we going to run? We're going to run the, Alabama and Ohio State. Well, these games are most likely to be butt whoopings. Or we actually, what we should do? We should schedule 5-12, 6-11, 7-10, or you know what I mean? 6-11, 7-10, 8-9. These are potentially our 3 best games.
And that whole time we're promoting the 1, 2, 3, and 4 teams playing next week.
And the NFL is throwing more games on Saturdays once the college season ends. The Army-Navy is the reason that this has happened, by the way. Both colleges and the NFL took a look and went, wow, that game does what? Huh. Well, all right.
Something to be said for being the only football game on television on a day.
Apparently, not as many people are Christmas shopping. Maybe it's because they can do it online. They actually don't have to go out and Christmas shop. So maybe they'll stay home and watch football. So that's the only thing. And if we're doing it on campus, like I'm wondering, like ESPN has, bowl week there, which of course lasts 3 weeks. It's hysterical, but bowl week brought to you by Capital One. And, they're running bowl games at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, 7:00 at night, this, that, and the other thing. I mean, does that just go away?
I don't know how it lasts if you take this to 16. I really don't, David.
Have you guys ever done Black Friday shopping in person?
Yes.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Oh my gosh, really?
We're in our 50s for crying out loud.
Really?
It's so funny.
Chaos.
Hold on. What's funny about that? Quick sidebar. And I know we only have like a minute. We were just talking the other day about what the next year is going to be like in Act 3 and all that. And we're like, hey, should we do a show on Black Friday? And there was a time not that long ago in which we were working at this particular station only. And I did a Black Friday show in the morning, live on location. Sponsors paid big money to get you out on location for 3 hours to be able to say that business's name over and over and over again. And now Felipe's like, man, that seems like the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
I would just never be in any mob of any sorts on Black Friday.
Ha!
So uncivilized.
You haven't lived, laddie.
Till you've been run over at a Best Buy trying to get a $98 24-inch television. Miller and Moulton, good, bad, and ugly in 20 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
deal, David, that I think they would. It's why to me you've got to have first round on campus.
You know, the other problem, I mean, you can't. You're going to ask these networks to pay what they're paying. You can't do a doubleheader on like a Tuesday. You can't do 4 and 8 o'clock. I don't think you can. I don't think you can run the game like the Boca Raton Bowl. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let me ask you this. Can you not run the games? Like, could you on a Tuesday or Wednesday night just have like 3 networks all run a game and they're all head to head with each other? It'd be like a Saturday afternoon. Could we just have?
Well, that's what I'm.
Could we have 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night?
When we have multiple wild card games going on at the same time.
Not at the same time.
No, we don't, do we?
No. Same day.
And they did Monday this year too.
Yeah.
Which throws Monday out. You know what I mean? For college, that's
because they do what 2, 3. Yeah, they do 2, 3, 1. Right. That's the other thing. Got Monday Night Football.
right. Look at Mello going Kmart blue light special. So my ex-wife, her uncles got arrested at a Food Lion and were banned from the Food Lion for years. They actually got a governor pardon at one point. But apparently years and years ago at a Food Lion in South Carolina, one of them, was the guy's reading the special. Attention, Food Lion shoppers, thank you for your patronage, blah, 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 blah. And for the next 15 minutes, they did the same type of thing. And Crockett Hammond grabbed the microphone and looked at the guy and said, "That's not a special. Give me that damn microphone." Said, "Ladies and gentlemen, for the next 15 minutes and 15 minutes only, all meat, that is 39 cents a pound." They caused a riot at the Food Lion. People were knocking over carts. Apparently a shop employee got beat up and made the papers. And years later, their pardon made the papers as well.
Wow.
That's impressive. Start a riot at a grocery store.
Yeah. So you guys have actually waited in a line at what, midnight?
No, never.
No, I've never done the midnight.
Never waited all night.
Okay.
No. That's a more last 10 years phenomenon when like the Best Buys, maybe even 15 years. No, I mean, but it was the day you went shopping for sales. It was not like
right. You go throughout the day and
The only thing I've ever done in terms of staying overnight type deal, doing something middle of the night, was for Giants football playoff tickets. Their first home playoff game in 22 years.
Worth it.
Yeah, I had just turned 20.
I spent the night for Springsteen tickets. Actually, Bob Seger tickets when he did his first tour. I used to go spend the night for concert tickets all the time.
Because you had to buy them in person.
They went on sale at 10 o'clock in the morning at all Ticketmaster outlets, and there weren't as many Ticketmaster outlets. So I literally would spend the night with some buddies. We'd drink beer all night, hang out with other concert goers.
Only place.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. All right, quickly, before we move on to something else, the only solution I see to if they go 16 teams in the college football playoff, which is what the ACC and the Big Ten want. SEC wants 12. We think ultimately money talks, more games, more money. They're going to go to 16. Scheduling the first round, if you will,
The
those
first
8 games. Are they going to have to do it? If you think about it, on Saturdays, all the games are on top of one another, multiple networks.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're crazy and you go noon 3, 6, 9, it ain't happening.
Well, games
last. No, I mean,
right.
that doesn't even give you a shot.
But I'm just saying, they run their double or triple header on the first Saturday. And you can't run games on Sunday and Monday because you don't want to compete with the National Football League. So then you got your Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, do you just on Tuesday and Wednesday say because, with 15 games, they're not all going to be on ESPN, ABC, and that family of networks because it's going to be too much money. Quite frankly, I mean, they'll want all the games, but they're literally going to go, we can't give you all this money. So they will likely get more per game if they break it up. So this way, CBS gets part of the action, Fox gets part of the action, NBC, just like
Absolutely.
the NFL. I mean, the NFL has their playoff games on 4 networks. College football has said, kind of looking at how the NFL does things, and it seems to be the right way to go about it. So if think about it. The NFL now has 13 playoff games. College football would have 15. So you would certainly think there will be multiple networks involved. What if they just mandated kind of like a Saturday and look at say they have 3 networks involved and they go, don't know what to tell you. That first Tuesday, Wednesday that we're having playoff games, you're going to have to run the games competing against each other. 8:00. All right. 2 or 3 of you networks are going to have games head to head. You have it head to head at noon, 3:30, 8:00. On Saturdays, why can't you have them head-to-head on a Tuesday or a Wednesday?
What if you went Friday night, triple header Saturday, back-to-back weeks?
4 and 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Part of the problem will be one of those Saturdays the NFL has games scheduled. You go head-to-head with the NFL, and that could be a problem in terms of then what networks running what.
Usually those are NFL Network games on Saturday nights, aren't they? I mean, currently.
I don't know if in a year from now if they're going to be NFL Network, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But yeah, absolutely, you could.
That's my first thought. Friday night primetime, triple header Saturday. Back-to-back weeks.
There you go. So the Friday before Army-Navy, okay, and then Army-Navy Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, so Army-Navy gets kind of caught up in it. But, all right. And then...
I don't know what to tell you about Army-Navy. No offense here. I've got a college football playoff to run.
No, I understand. You take CBS out of the equation, though. I'm just saying.
Maybe they'll want to run the Friday night game.
And then you wait a whole other week, and then you do, in essence, that could be a bye for the 1 through 4 seeds. They get a bye.
Yeah, they get a little extra time.
Right. And then they host their games the second weekend, which will be, in all likelihood, the Friday and Saturday before Christmas. Here's my question. Not that anybody cares about the fans, because let's be brutally honest. All right. I mean, the media actually cares more about the fans than your favorite college and college football, i.e. the USFA, cares about you guys. They don't care about you at all. At all. We're the only ones that bring you up. For as much as we suck, we are more on your side than they are. Do you think people will go to these games if they are scheduled at those dates and times?
100%.
Okay.
The number of Michigan fans that traveled to the Orange Bowl to watch them get beat by Georgia and how giddy they were to go get their butts kicked. You're telling me I can have a home game in Ann Arbor in December, and I know there's no students on campus. I don't care. They'll all come back.
Yes, they will. because most of them are going to school. I mean, not all of them. It's a huge university and all that, but a lot of them are going to school within driving distance, right? In the state.
Enough of them are.
Ohio, Michigan, right? They can
Enough
drive.
of them are.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, we talked about this years ago when Gary Danielson was a regular guest, in which Gary said you just add it into the, if you're a Power 5 school, you just add the 13th game, if you will. You add it in your yearly season ticket package, so that this way you're guaranteed the tickets are already sold. The game is sold out, basically. Now, obviously, if that person wants to resell it on secondary market, that's not your concern. You've already sold the ticket. And we all know the drill. If your team doesn't make the playoff, what do? They say, well, that money can just go towards your season ticket package next year.
And that is the exact voice. I'm certain of that's the exact voice they use when they tell you that. Don
right.
Pardo, tell them what they've won. Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
So, all right.
So
Okay.
Friday, Saturday over 2 weeks would be my initial thought of the only way to get away with that. Army Navy suffers from this, though.
Well, there's no doubt it does. And obviously, I'd be bummed. It's my favorite game of the year. I mean, I'd still be working it. I'd still be at it. I wouldn't care about, 3 versus 14 elsewhere. I mean, I could give a fly-in, but yeah. Game does well.
It does, but it doesn't have a lot of competition.
No, it does, and it's partly why it does well.
College football playoff would be competition.
Yep. Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
But that's our poll question today. How many teams in the playoff, 12 or 16? We didn't go with any other choices simply because the SEC is talking about 12. The Big Ten is talking about 16. I don't know about you, but I don't think there are any other choices out there that make a lot of sense. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or FL Sports Network on Twitter to vote, or you can simply go to floridasportsnetwork.com.
Julio Jones signing. Good one, or not going to work out. Julio Jones. I'll say this. He must not have been healthy last year. He must be healthier now than he was last year. Because if they're signing last year's Julio Jones, then I'm like, well, what in the world are you doing?
Yeah, last year's Julio Jones was not Julio Jones.
No,
that was an imposter.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
he was
last
done.
year's Julio Jones was 32-year-old Julio Jones. You play in this league for that long, at some point, you start diminishing your skills. I don't know. I like the idea of signing anybody you can to bring in guys. I think what you said earlier, Godwin was cleared, but what are they really saying? And also, it was a year, they don't trust any of the guys that are coming up, but Gage is the 3.
Ironically, from Atlanta, where 2 years ago, Julio was the 1 and Gage was the 3. And now you could have a case where Gage is the 3 and Julio is the 4.
So I see spots in the red zone where Julio could be really effective. I think there's going to be a trust factor there immediately with Brady. Brady knows the hands are there.
In the red zone, they can potentially put Mike Evans, Julio Jones, and Kyle Rudolph on the field together. Woo-wee.
Or Cameron Brate.
You could go that route also. So talk about 4 big physical targets. I mean, especially if they get inside the 10. You would think literally Brady in the shotgun, he's going to throw 3 passes into the end zone. If he decides I'm going to go to you once, and you once, you got to think one of those 3 is either completed for a touchdown or it's pass interference with 1st and goal to 1.
Well, even when he's talking about Brate, you go into 12 personnel, and now you've got 2 big horses at tight end that can catch the ball, and you've got 2 receivers that are just monsters.
Oh, also the beef patty cake that is Leonard Fournette.
But I'm just talking about, the wingspan where Brady can throw it in the area code and it could come down with a touchdown or draw a flag. Here's a funny one here from Mello in the Twitch chat room. They signed Julio Jones as a coach.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang
at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Pocono had their largest attendance since 2010. Have we had Joel Corey on our show?
I don't think so.
I don't know who it is, and he follows me on Twitter. He's got like 35,000. He's an agent. I don't ever remember having him on. Maybe Joel Corey, but still. Salary cap guy.
El Gaucho Deli Cafe opens in Estero.
Huh? We're at in Estero.
It's Argentinian Peruvian.
Peruvian food.
And it's a local mini market as well.
Any y'all that have never tried Peruvian food need to do that immediately.
Oh, look at those empanadas.
Oh, man, I'm hungry.
I love empanadas.
Remember when you called them empanadas?
Yeah, I do. So I pronounce it correctly now.
There you go.
How many social media posts did you make on behalf of the show today? You clipping all the good parts so that we've got things to put on TikTok and Instagram?
Yeah.
But you just dance.
Big Ten Media Day.
Watch the Cynthia Freeland thing.
Who's she?
She's an NFL reporter.
Gotcha.
She's NFL Network, I think.
That's funny.
It is.
That is funny.
Where is this place?
Why not add RG3 to game day? Or does he already do game day?
No, he's doing
He does NFL.
NFL.
He's good.
He is good. Coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until we are out of here. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. RCB in our Twitch chat room said, Julio Jones is one thing. Bucs better pick up more O-line. They ran out of guys before playing the Rams in the playoffs. Yeah, right side of the line was banged up. And certainly Aaron Donald, Von Miller and company took advantage of it.
And they only drafted one. They drafted one guard. The rest of their draft picks, a couple of tight ends, a running back. So they didn't address the offensive line with the draft at all.
They do not have the depth that they had last year. And they got thin at the end of the year last year. So, yeah, right now you could see that being an area where the Bucs, if a veteran or two gets released, et cetera, you could see them picking up some guys and trying to talk them into, hey, no state taxes, take a veteran minimum deal and you got a chance to win a ring here and you were unemployed 3 hours ago. You could see them trying to do that in 4 or 5 weeks' time.
Totally agree. Because as you mentioned, they are thin. They didn't address it. And the guard position especially.
We don't know the details as to Kyle Rudolph and Julio Jones's 1-year deals. I'm assuming both of them are around $3 million with incentives. And if that's the case, let's just say it's 3 and 3. I believe the Bucs would have in the $6 to $8 million range to maybe go out and sign somebody. But still, like Riley Reif, who's not a great offensive lineman by any stretch, he's okay. I mean, he signed a deal for nearly $10 million yesterday with the Bears. So, some guys are still getting paid. There's still some guys out there. I don't think the Bucs are going to be dealing with any of those guys. You also wonder if they need it. Can a veteran or two maybe have to renegotiate a deal or get pushed out if they need to free up some money? We think they need a running back. I really think they need to do better at backup quarterback. And if not, then Kyle Trask better win the job. Because,
there you go.
Because if Gabbard's still the backup, then Kyle Trask ain't the future. I mean, if you've had a whole year in the system and what have you, and you still can't be number 2, I mean, you at least have to move up a notch every year. So they got work to do.
To stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry, here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 1586 today.
Well, we were only going to put out an ad for one job. That was commissioner of the USFA.
Yeah, well,
may have to list 2.
Might not have to list it, but just know that we're looking. Sir Walter Raleigh brings the first tobacco to England from Virginia. That's when they said, man, you got some of that good Virginia stuff?
Still saying that.
It's a bad line. When I thought of it's a bad line now, and I still put it out there. 1940, Bugs Bunny debuts in Wild Hair. Today in 1953, North Korea and the UN signed the armistice to stop fighting and divide Korea at the 38th parallel. Today in 65, LBJ signs a bill requiring cigarette makers to print health warnings on all cigarette packages about the effects of smoking. Still nothing close to the Canadian warnings that basically say, this will kill you. 1983, Madonna's first album was released. 1984, the movie Purple Rain was released. And we talked about Pete Rose tying the singles record. He collects his record-setting single today against Philadelphia. Today in 96, or I'm sorry, today in 94, actually, Siamese Dream, the Smashing Pumpkins' first album was released. 96 was the Atlanta Olympic bombing. Today in 1999, Tony Hawk becomes the first skateboarder to land a 900. 2012, Queenie, Liz there, opened the 30th games in London.
Liz?
Yeah, Lizzie.
Lizzie. Wow. I don't even think Megan refers to her as Liz.
And finally, it was a year ago that Simone Biles withdraws from the women's team final to focus on her mental health. Those born today that are no longer with us, Leo DeRocher and Irv Cross. Those that are still with us, Norman Lear's 100 years old today.
Wow. Care to go down the credits for those like Felipe had never heard of Norman Lear?
TV writer and producer, All in the Family, The Jeffersons, One Day at a Time, just to get started. Maybe as influential of a TV writer as there's ever been.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
No, that's all right.
No, that's fine.
There's been a few good features done of him in the last couple of years. You could look one up. Yeah, I think you'd like it, actually. It's also remarkable when you see clips of All in the Family and the Jeffersons. Then we're talking early to mid 70s, and then you go, A, I wonder if they could make that show today.
No.
But also B, how much of the material still applies when you would have thought nearly 50 years later it wouldn't still apply.
That's the part that's, well, damn near frightening, David. Peggy Fleming is 74 today. Triple H is 53. A-Rod is 47. Max Scherzer's 38. Your guy, Ryan Tannehill's 34 today. And Jordan Spieth is 29 years old. And that is today was the day when.
Got to admit, A-Rod looks pretty good for 47.
He does.
Oh.
Maybe the steroids don't have that bad of an effect after all.
Well, and I'm sure he mixed in some HGH and, some other stuff. So it looks pretty good. And, so does Tannehill and Lauren. They both look good.
Yes, they do.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Elena Wicker is the good. She is 13 years old. She's already graduated high school and has been accepted at medical school. Did I say that she was 13 years old?
You did. I have to admit, I don't like stories like this. It's just, come on now. I mean, that seems like no childhood.
I agree, David.
I mean,
calm down.
Come on.
She graduated high school at 12.
Really? Like, why?
She says she's still a normal 13-year-old.
Really?
She's currently a student at both Arizona State University and Oakwood University, earning 2 separate undergraduate degrees in biological sciences.
No offense, young lady. It makes you not a normal 13-year-old. You're not having, maybe it's for the better. Maybe you're the future.
Real
I
life
don't know.
Doogie Howser, and she's just
right.
Try hard.
Moulton and Felipe just all over it. All right, then what do you want me to change the good? I got
she's
I got a hockey player that saved someone's life in a plane crash.
Well, I got to admit,
that's pretty good.
That's a good.
Paul Byron was out fishing in a lake in Quebec when a plane had to crash land into the lake, and he and his father-in-law and friends pulled the pilot out of the plane. Does that make you feel a little better? This poor girl just graduated high school at 12 and is getting 2 undergrad degrees, but poo-poo.
She's a try-hard, that's all.
Oh, she's doing more than trying hard. But
she's succeeding.
Damn.
Trying hard's hitting the button and not working.
That's funny. That's funny, Felipe. You got to give him that. That's funny.
For the bad, we go to San Rafael, California, where a thief broke into the Johnny Donuts office in the San Francisco Bay Area on Saturday night. Grabbed the keys to a bakery vehicle. Didn't steal the vehicle. Then returned to the scene of the crime because he left his keys there. Apparently, the keys to the car that he stole weren't the right set. He has still not been caught.
Oh, what? What? You can't catch this guy? He's dumb enough to leave the wrong set of keys. You can't catch him? You're fired.
Finally, the ugly, we go to Wexford County, Michigan, where a 46-year-old man was taken into custody after getting naked, dancing, and doing push-ups, all while holding a gun in the middle of a highway. Multiple calls were made to a man dancing with a handgun on southbound US 131. Witnesses said police said the man was dancing and doing push-ups. He had a 9mm on him as well. The man eventually emptied the ammunition from the handgun while witnesses were on the phone with the police. Police picked him up and taken him into protective custody. What is it the cowherd used to say? Don't do meth.
Dancing
and doing push-ups.
And doing push-ups while naked.
Correct.
In the middle of the highway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there better be some foreign substances involved.
And that's the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, July the 27th, 2022.
Well, let me tell you something. Hope you're a baseball fan today. Not just because everybody's playing, but I mean, just about everybody's playing during the day. There's got to be a chance to play hooky in some way, shape, or form. I mean, Braves, Phillies, Padres, Tigers, Angels, Royals, Twins, Brewers, White Sox, Rockies, Nats, Dodgers, Astros, A's. They've done 9,100 in the last two games combined in Oakland. A mighty nooner. What do you say? Over, under 8,000?
Under.
Over. Giants, Diamondbacks, Rangers, Mariners. All these games are taking place this afternoon. Okay, you know who you didn't hear? Yeah, both the Marlins and the Rays. They play tonight. 6:40 for the Marlins, 7:05 for the Rays. I'll tell you what, I know a couple Orioles fans, and they're in the deep end now. They've held it together for as long as they could. 500 at the All-Star break, and now here they are post-All-Star break. They're above 500. They're not in last place.
They just beat the Rays ace yesterday. They got two more with Tampa.
Scored 3 in the 8th to beat the Rays. They didn't score them against McClanahan, but they did do it against the Rays. Yep. And they're like 3 games behind Tampa Bay in the standings, and they are feeling it. Feeling it. And do you know what an Orioles fan of a certain age, Mark, is going with? Remember in 88 when the Orioles had like that 20-something game losing streak, and that's when Cal Sr. got fired and Frank Robinson took over, and they started the year like 0-20-something. And obviously they were horrendous, worst team in franchise history. Yeah. Remember next year in 89, they take the Jays down to the final weekend of the season before Toronto is able to win the East. And that 89 team is like the Cinderella Orioles team. It's beloved. Didn't go to the playoffs. It's beloved. Well, I mean, think about what the Orioles have had the last 2-3 years. They've had seasons every bit as bad as the 88 season, and they've had them back to back to back. This team, there are people who are middle-aged or older that are like, let me tell you, haven't been this excited about a team from nowhere since 89.
Well, the crowd was a little better last night than it was the night before. I imagine tonight it'll be a little bit better. This is a 4-gamer. And I've told you before the show, I'm watching the game last night. I found myself half pulling for the Orioles. It's such a great baseball town. And there's a generation that has no idea that that's the case.
They're 3.5 behind the Rays. And the Rays right now are the 6th seed. Toronto and Seattle are 4-5. The Rays are the 6.
Rays have a better winning percentage than. Oh, no, Toronto. Yeah, okay, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, so, hey, look it. Split these two if you're the Orioles.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you win both.
Well, if you win both, fine. But
right.
yeah, I mean, it would be nice to get 3 or 4 at home, but good teams get a split.
And be at the trade deadline and be within 3 games of a playoff spot.
Then you've got to be a buyer, even though they're way ahead of schedule. You've got to be a buyer if you're Baltimore.
Well, especially since you're chasing the Rays and they've got half the team on the IL. Absolutely. If you're the Orioles and you split these next two with the Rays, and let's just say you have a decent weekend, you win 2 out of 3, and you're within no worse than 3 back of the Rays at the deadline. I mean, we're not sure the Rays could hold them off.
I don't know if they can.
And never mind the fact we got the whole Guardians-White Sox thing in the Central that you got to pay attention to also. But it's another reason why the Rays have got to be active here if they want to make the playoffs.
If they want to make the playoffs, you'll know exactly what the Rays are up to here in the next couple of days because they have to do something, David. Even if it's like what you keep talking about what the Braves did a year ago, just get some parts. I don't expect anything big out of Tampa, but they have got to go make a couple of moves. Get catcher there, Contreras.
Absolutely. Cubs have won 6 in a row. Jays have won 7 in a row. Oh, by the way. Scherzer pitches for the Mets tonight, trying to sweep the 2-gamer at home against the Yankees. Say this about the Yankees. They went 2-5 against the Astros. Better win tonight against the Mets, because otherwise their record against good teams lately is not good.
And they're under 500 for the month of July, did I see? They're 10-11 for the month right now. Hey, that hasn't happened all year. Ain't anything close to it.
It's okay. They can be subpar and still have 100 wins.
Yeah, but the problem is it's World Series or bust. It ain't winning the AL East and getting to the LCS.
No, and they could lose the 1 seed, which would not give them home field against the Astros. That's really close right now as well.
I mean, they're going to be in the LCS.
Yeah, and they're going to choke again.
Well, it's not necessarily choke. They may just get beat.
True.
I mean, that's the other thing. So, full day and night of baseball. And I believe the Yankees-Mets game, for those that are interested, is on the 4-letter network tonight. There you have it. Miller and Moulton.
Good little show for you. We'll try to do this whole thing over again tomorrow, huh?
We'll try. I don't know. Do the best we can.
Miss any part of it, download the podcast. We thank you for listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer,